Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics. As always, I'm your host, Shaun Holko, alongside my guys, Jaevon, Garry Singh. Kevin Dent is at a Kings and Trailblazers game tonight up in the Pacific Northwest, so he won't be joining us, but he'll be back again on Friday. Guys, we are already at episode number 17. First official time going live on Instagram. So we appreciate those of you who might be tuned in on Instagram right now.
Brick by brick building here. Let's go.
Building brick by brick. And Garry, you got your black and yellow on today. You must be feeling good. How was your holidays?
My holidays was great, man. Just relaxed in Sacramento with the family, presents and food and just chilling, watching movies and things of that nature. It was pretty good weather this weekend, not too rainy and stuff like that. So I had a good time. And yeah, I can be happy with my Steelers winning, so that's good. We can look at it both ways, but we're gonna be positive today on this Tuesday. I was about to say Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, we're switching it up this week. We're here on a Tuesday night because yesterday was Christmas, and so we all wanted to spend it with our families. But as Jaevon and Kevin say, we got to bring the people to content, and so here we are back on a Tuesday. Toddy, how was your holidays?
Ravens ruined Christmas. No, I had a good time. Got a lot of stuff for the baby. Got these new headphones. Shout out to my Dukes. Got these new headphones. They're called Alpha.
Shout out my move.
So whatever.
Yeah. Shout out to T.
Shout out to T. She got the headphones. But yeah, got to travel different houses. When you got a split family, you're going to different houses. So baby got a lot of stuff. It was like a second baby shower for the most part. But
for real,
it was pretty good. Man. Got some chocolates. Got what I get? I got the sweater. Brother Frank got me the sweater for Christmas, so that was pretty cool. Got a little bit of cash. Yeah, so when you're starting to when you get older, you really don't get a chance.
You don't get shit.
you don't really get a chance to really get what you want, but it's that's what it comes with being an adult. But now it's pretty much every Christmas is the baby's getting whatever he wants. So
Vaughn, just take it how I take it, man. You don't get no gift, you don't gotta get no one else a gift, bro. Basically, not the little ones, but not. I'm like, it's all good. You don't give me one, I'll get you one. We use that money for something else, man.
Well.
Most definitely. And, as Toddy said, the Ravens ruined Christmas, at least for us 49ers fans. For others around the country, the Ravens might have made their Christmas because, when you're at the top, everyone's rooting against you. And I get that. It is what it is. my favorite present that I got from this holiday season is my new hat that I'm rocking. My mom just so happened to get me a Christian McCaffrey hat, which I did
That
not
was
expect.
Jordan.
I have never seen. I mean, is basically like football's Jordan out there. Yeah, I mean, they call him the Great White. They call him the Great White Hope. I know. Yes, he's not Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry, Gary. But anyways, yeah, it's a Christian McCaffrey hat is what my mom got me. One of the presents that she got me for Christmas, and so for that I am grateful. I had to rock it today. Toddy and I, just like Gary and Kevin with their teams, we're going to continue to rock with our squads, win or lose. And Toddy, our squad lost yesterday for the first time in a while as the Ravens beat the 49ers on Christmas in Santa Clara on Monday Night Football as the Ravens won 33-19. But even that 2-score differential, Jaevon, it definitely seemed more lopsided, at least in my opinion, than a 2-score game. But overall, just what were your thoughts on this one, Jaevon?
Well, the game at one point was 5-0, so that should tell you a little bit on how weird it was. You got the ref is tripping Lamar over in the end zone, which was insane. I think it's a weird rule that the ref is a part of the field. That makes no sense to me. Like if you were to throw the ball and it bounced off the ref, it would just be incomplete. Like get out of the way, dude. Like you're another human being on the field who is not padded, and it's just like unfortunate things like that. And that's me coming from a Niners fan. Pretty much start the game off. We stopped them on their first drive, and we kind of just drove down the field, and then the interception started to come. First interception, first of 4 from Brock Purdy. We had 5 total interceptions because our boy Sammy D came off the bench and threw us one. Um,
In the end zone.
Kyle Hamilton has to be up there one of the best safeties in the league. Unfortunately, I think he's looking like he may or may not be out for a while with the apparent knee injury. I don't know how serious it was exactly, but Purdy just left throwing it to Kyle Hamilton for some reason, even though he was wearing all white. The first interception was really bad. We had a pick where it got tipped. He basically had 2 tip picks and then 2 like, what the fuck are you doing?
The first one was the worst one.
Yeah, the first one was definitely the worst one. That being, we could have turned it into points. This was kind of the game that Purdy would have cemented his MVP status if he would have beaten Lamar Jackson. Even though Purdy's numbers are significantly better still than Lamar, I kind of take it as the same as when Dak Prescott was the favorite for MVP, and then the next week he played against Josh Allen and basically laid an egg. This was pretty much the exact same thing. Lamar was definitely the better player. I think he threw for 252 yards, a couple touchdowns. He was running all over the place. He's the modern day Michael Vick, and he's the favorite to win the MVP currently. Lamar, a lot of people are going to say that I was wrong. I was basically right from the standpoint of when we went all the way back to who is your favorite or who is the best team in the AFC, and everybody was saying it's Mahomes, the baby goat, this, that, and the third. They look like shit right now, and I was the only person that stood tall and said, hey, I think the Ravens are probably the best team in the league currently right now, or the best team in the AFC, arguably the league. I'm just given what Lamar Jackson has. Just the weapons that he has around him. There's Odell. There's the emergence of Isaiah Likely, who a lot of people have apparently picked up in fantasy over the past couple of weeks for the playoffs.
They sure have.
Isaiah Likely's out there running around. You got Odell Beckham Jr. You got obviously Zay Flowers. Sneaky Rookie of the Year candidate. Not sure he was going to win, but he should probably be one of the finalists due to his numbers. And Rashad Bateman was kind of making a lot of, slant patterns that were kind of going for like 20, 30 yards at a time. Wilkes and the defense, I thought could have picked up on the screen passes a little bit earlier in the game. Like they were running a shit ton of screen passes because we were playing super soft coverage. I don't know why. I felt like we could have ran a little bit of bump and run. I don't see why we can't be able to run bump and run. Just given I'm pretty confident in our DBs to be able to play bump and run with the Ravens receivers. Odell Beckham and Zay Flowers. So those are kind of their main targets. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, we kind of got shredded. I think the threat of Lamar being able to run kind of like struck fear
Spooked us.
into us
Hmm.
because he was kind of able to, he had that huge run in the second half. But I mean, just the threat of him being able to run at any given moment was kind of what the Niners were worried about. And I feel like those coverages may have, you know, hurt us more than helped us. Um, I thought the pass rush could have been a little bit better, even though we had some injuries on the D line. But pretty much to kind of sum it up, the Ravens handed our ass to us on Monday Night Football, Christmas. I don't really have any excuses about anything. It was an ass kicking pretty much the entire game. I get, Brock Purdy kind of went out. Trent Williams did go out in this game too. I don't know if he was, it was, it was as bad as it may have seemed because after the game he said he was going to be okay. So I'll take that for whatever it's worth. Um, but I mean, we saw Brock Purdy go out, but he kind of just, hey, we're going to keep you here on the sideline. He probably could have ended up coming back in the game, but um, good old Sammy D, he led a touchdown drive, and
He looked good.
Sammy D.
he looked all right.
They were playing soft
You know,
coverage, y'all. Come on now. It was all the way back. Little
um,
stat
we
padding
had
away.
we had a chance, some sort of like a shot in hell to at the end when we were
Christmas
down 14.
miracle.
Yeah, we were down 14. Had a chance to go down 7. To ended up end up kicking the ball back to the Ravens with 3 timeouts and kind of just seeing where that would go. And then I think out of the timeout, Sam Darnold takes a sack.
Hmm.
The worst possible thing that could have happened is Darnold take a sack there, and he ends up taking a sack, and then ultimately throws a pick at the end of the game. So um, Purdy has to be able to see the field better. A lot of people have to realize this is what season and a half, second full season of him playing, so he's still got a
Pretty
little bit
much.
of ways to go. Yeah, I think he's still one of the better quarterbacks in the league, given off how he's played. Getting a lot of chirp from a lot of Cowboys fans, a lot of Eagles fans, a little bit of chirp here and there. I'm going to say this now. I get the Niners did lose. They may not be the best team in the NFL, but they are for damn sure the best team in the NFC. Period. That's
I know you're
Hmm.
gonna
without a
say that.
doubt. There's nothing to be in question about the NFC because the Niners run the NFC, and the NFC will be ran through Levi's Stadium. You guys will have to go through Levi's if you want to get to the Super Bowl because the number one seed will belong to San Francisco 49ers.
Well, Gary, your team is obviously on the other side in the AFC. And so, just overall, what are your thoughts on just your division rival, the Baltimore Ravens, handling the 49ers the way that they did, especially given the fact that your Steelers, who I'm never going to let you forget, your Steelers did lose to this Niners team, but your Steelers also beat this Ravens team. And so you have a unique perspective on this, and just share how you felt about this game.
Well, I feel like this weekend was a pretty good week for me, Shaun. Not just guessing this game right, but I also was just I kind of, when we were having our first in-person podcast, I know it didn't get clipped or anything, we didn't have time, but I was kind of predicting like, hey, if Lamar Jackson shows up versus, quote unquote, the best team right now last week, and this revolving door, as we can see in the NFL right now, about who is the best team in the NFL, because anyone could be anybody. And if you do the mathematics, it looks so weird. Like this team beat this team, but this team beat that team. Like you just mentioned, my Steelers, you guys killed us. The Niners beat the Steelers, whooped us week 1, and we beat the Ravens. So, you can all look at it. You can't really make A plus B doesn't equal C in football as easy as that sounds. But I think taking from the Ravens side, man, I think they've been killing people this whole year. I mean, they haven't been doing like crazy outstanding numbers. They just been doing what needs to get done in the best way they can, which is controlling the ball with a little bit of run and a little bit of pass. Like Lamar Jackson just threat of running, as you can see at the end of the halftime when he just turned that nothing into a field goal, at least at the end of half rush, you guys, which is crazy. I'm seeing people make and miss. And like, before back in the day, he would do that a lot more. But now I love to see how he just shutting people up left and right. Like there's people who want to keep disrespecting him every which way, which don't make no sense. The guy wins a Heisman in college, wins NFL his rookie year, second year in the league already, and been just getting better and better every single year. And so, we know, as a Steelers fan who was basically scared of this man, to be honest, it was a guy who was really praying, and I thought he was gone at the end of last year. And I remember I was talking to you guys on this podcast, like, I hope he's gone, get him out of here. Obviously, I wanted them to trade him to us, but we know that wasn't going to happen. They would never do that to us because our long-lasting rivalry and hatred between the Ravens and the Steelers. But obviously a lot of respect because of the both greatness of both teams and how they play. And so, man, when you got a guy at the helm like that you could beat anybody. And, my uncle was telling me before the game started, Saturday during the Cowboys game, he's telling me, not Uncle Manny, my other uncle, he was telling me, the Niners are going to beat the Ravens. I was like, Uncle, I don't know if you know the stat, man. I think it's 18-1, 19-1 with basically Lamar playing the NFC, excuse me. And that right there, I don't know if people know that's a big sample size, and that just shows you that you have to play this man a few times. You have to see a lot of him. Your people on the field. Like, there's no one in the league you can replicate during practice or anything that looks like Lamar Jackson in this league. Like what he does uniquely. I know we got a lot of guys who run like Patrick Mahomes in clutch time. We got you can just name a lot of other guys. Not Deshaun Watson. I was thinking about the rookie this year, C.J. Stroud, who had literally good at running too as well. So there's a lot of quarterbacks that can move, and Josh Allen. There's also like a power quarterback you could say, but the way he just evades traffic, the swiftness, easy, and just still kill you down the field, makes him just so great and hard to stop. And you can see and also I think the second thing I wanted to mention too before I left was this is the first time too. I think I wouldn't say it's a blueprint to beat the Niners. Obviously, we all know the Niners are great, and the Niners can do many things. And like Vaughn said, they're still probably the best team on the NFC on their side still, so they don't got to worry about the Ravens. But if you play physical to their finesse, because you guys are a physical and finesse team, but if you match their physicality, then you can still beat the Niners. That's the problem with the Cowboys. They play a little finesse and things of that nature, but they don't bring enough physicality. The Eagles beat you guys last year, even though you guys were hurt a little bit. They usually bring the physicality. In that last game you guys played, they came out all black, and they dusted the cleats off with them boys, and they got out of town. Simple like that. So to beat the Niners, you really got to play a physical brand of football. And then after that, if you're a team that's good enough on every other area, like the Ravens are in terms of matching their offense, then you have a chance to beat this team. And usually I leave this to Kevin to go, in depth and crazy on the Niners and talking more shit. I'm just going surface level and talking other shit. I want to touch the Ravens a little bit, but we got to talk about the man. The man, Mr. Purdy, a week ago was MVP, and that is gone away now, guys. I'm sorry to say it. And I know all my Niner fans and all these group chats I got, like, now you guys want to hate on him. All of a sudden, I seen this funny meme today that was like, everyone usually supports Brock Purdy's story. Like, it comes out usually, guy under draft pick, from the bottom to the top. Yeah, and but for some reason everyone hates him. Well, sorry guys, you know why everyone hates him? It's just like the Cowboy fans a little bit. They hate him because of you guys. Because y'all motherfuckers just be annoying. Like, anoint him as MVP. Anoint him here. He's just look at his numbers. Like, when we all know and you knew in your heart he's a great quarterback. But this could happen with him. This could happen. And I don't want to hear like MVPs or great quarterbacks, top tier elite quarterbacks in this league. First of all, do it for a long time. You got to prove it more than 1 year. And I didn't say you can't win MVP this 1 year. I was saying that last week he probably could win MVP, even though I did say also Lamar Jackson wins this war, which I put money on it now. But it's week to week it changes. Lamar Jackson wins this week, boom, catapulted to MVP talk. You know what I'm saying? So this type of performance, obviously, I know last week we seen Dak Prescott, his bad performance and knocked him down that ladder. And obviously, Purdy, with his horrible performance, knocked him off this ladder. And it shows that if you can cause some pressure, like Vaughn said, quoting the Niners fan himself, if you can make that man, Brock Purdy, see some ghosts, then, you can get him to make mistakes and get caught up. And when you get caught up, it becomes kind of the pressure is not all on him to be great no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, the pressure, let me rephrase that. The pressure, when he's making mistakes, the pressure on him to become more great. Now, can he live up to that? That's wait to be seen. He can still live up to that. I can't say he can't learn from this and come out next week and go on a deep playoff. Maybe you guys need this butt whipping right before the playoffs to tighten up the last screws. Maybe this game was you. I'll take it positive for you, Shaun. Maybe this game was you rather have this game in the regular season than in the playoffs. But it does show that if you get that man to, like I've been said, like, dude, that was a crazy stat too that's doing the broadcast about how Shaun McVay, excuse me, you guys, I'm beginning
Kyle
you guys'
Shanahan 0-38 win down 8+
Yeah,
points.
I was gonna
Now 0-39,
Hey,
but
that was
it
crazy,
was
bro. You can't lie. Only
0-38.
8 points. You can't come back from 8 points. Like, and that's under him. And you gotta think all the quarterbacks that have been under him have all been mid the whole time. And so you need a great quarterback to come out of behind, these deficits. So as a Niners fan, yeah, I'll be happy because we're still a great team and things of nature. But I'd be nervous that if they match us in everything, it comes down to greatness of the quarterback. I'll be a little nervous. It's like, if y'all play Philadelphia again and they match everything and match the intensity, everything, it's going to come down to who's going to make a couple more plays and less mistakes, Jalen Hurts or Brock Purdy. Again, that's why I took him that last matchup. I'm going to take Jalen Hurts. So that's the only, that's the question mark you guys been had. You guys know you guys got it. Well, not really. He's 1-1, and now in prove it time in the playoffs, he's 1-0. So we're going to see right now. You like Vaughn said, you guys got what you wanted at least. Everyone has to come to Levi Stadium and go to Super Bowl through Levi. So that's a great circumstance to be in. And yeah, but butt whooping before y'all just gave a couple butt whoopings, it probably doesn't feel good.
Yeah, 49ers definitely still have to take care of business because this is the NFL after all. And even though we as 49ers fans feel that the Commanders, easy dub, Rams, we own the Rams in the regular season at least. It's like 9 in a row against the Rams, I believe, in the regular season, something like that. Or maybe 8. It's a big number. We know that the 49ers lost the 2021 NFC Championship game in LA against the Rams, but when it comes to regular season, the 49ers own the Rams. But they still gotta win the games. And to finish my point about that stat, yeah, the official stat was that the 49ers are now 0-39 when trailing by 8+ points in the fourth quarter under Kyle Shanahan since he took over as the head coach in 2017. But Gary, everyone wants to just look at a stat like that and just be like, oh my God, that is terrible. He can't lead a comeback, blah, 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 blah. But let's not forget all of those years, 2017, 2018, 2020, when the 49ers were dog shit. And yeah, they were probably trailing by 8+ points in the fourth quarter of all of those games. And that's how you rack it up to get to 0-38. Yeah, sure. There were plenty of
about 15
other
games. They've been good now. Come on now, Shaun. He's been coaching there for a minute. They've been good for like knocking on the door for 4 or 5 years. Come on, 8 points? Now, if they said 14, something like that, I'm all right. That's 2 touchdowns. You don't expect that many comebacks now. 8, it's a tud in an extra point. Going for a 2-point conversion. So I don't know. Keep going.
Yeah, just to finish my diatribe on that is just that, like, that's where the losses were racked up, right? And the reason why they haven't had to have a comeback is because they're winning going into these fourth quarters, or they're trailing by less than 8 points. Yeah, the 49ers don't have a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who has on his resume the fact that he's led like 5, 10+ point fourth quarter comebacks. Like, that's a fact. Stats over politics. That's something Jalen Hurts has on his resume that all of the mid, I wouldn't say Brock Purdy's mid. Everyone else, yeah, I guess that could qualify. But all the other mid 49ers quarterbacks, they don't have that on their resume.
Might be lower than mid, my guy.
Well, on the Raiders, he's lower than mid. But what he did on the 49ers, appropriately mid. But anyways. Anyways, just with yesterday's game, you guys both said a lot of it for me, and Toddy hit the nail on the head, and so did you, Gary, when you guys both just said, like, we got our asses kicked. We, being the 49ers, got our asses kicked. And I always try to think of things with the glass half full rather than half empty. It was just how my mom raised me, try to think of things positively, right? And as the first half is going on, and I'm just like, this is awful. Like, Merry Christmas to us 49ers fans. We've been waiting for this all day long, and this is what we ended up with.
I was talking so much shit too the entire day.
Man, I know, right? Hey, so Brock has that third interception, right? And then going into halftime, Brock has 3 interceptions, but I'm just thinking to myself, Brock has 3 interceptions, and the 49ers are down 4 points, about to get the ball. But then they don't do anything with the ball when they start the third quarter. Ravens respond. Then another interception. Yeah. And so, like, it was rough, and I just spinning this in a positive way because, Gary, that's something I did for you after the 49ers stomped the shit out of the Steelers week 1.
You keep looking.
Hey, I told you it can't get worse, and it hasn't.
We're only
So
show that my team ain't in the hunt no more, barely in the hunt. We still gonna have them in a main show topic today.
Yeah. The Steelers are coming up next.
Real quick though, this is the main point right here though. Like, you get humbled in the NFL, man. Everyone, Kev took humble pie this year. Y'all took a couple humbles. You know me. I've been taking humble pie all year. So everyone can get got in the NFL. Ain't no one riding high. I don't know what team in the NFL is riding high right now because everyone has got slapped at least one time this year.
Yeah, so basically a couple of stats to kind of end this segment. The Niners outgained the Ravens pass yards 308 to 241. The Niners have more rush yards than the Ravens, 121 to 102. And basically the total stats for yardage was 429 to 343. Niners had 6.3 yards per play versus the Ravens had 5.4 yards per play. The whopping stat that's kind of deciphering everything is the 5 interceptions in this game. You throw 5 picks in a game, you're not going to win. So the Niners got to figure out a way to not turn the ball over because like when Purdy throws picks,
whose fault is this, Vaughn? Whose fault was this week's?
Oh, Brock Purdy, 1,000,000%.
Yeah. When Brock Purdy throws picks, he's gonna throw 3+ or at least 2+. He's gonna give you.
And then who's the MVP of the Niners? The guy on there you go, Shaun.
I've been saying, but Gary, the way that
I'm not talking. This is for other Niner fans. I know you haven't been saying this, Shaun. This is for other Niner fans
globally because I have
Brock Purdy as the MVP.
I have been standing on this desk screaming that Christian McCaffrey is the MVP of the 49ers, that he is the MVP of the league. I'll still say that. I mean, honestly, okay, all bias aside, Lamar Jackson should be and is the MVP frontrunner right now to win his second. But second, I'm still giving it to Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is still up there. He's not going to win it because non-quarterbacks don't win MVP anymore. Exactly, Jaevon. It hasn't happened since 2012 when Adrian Peterson won it. And so it's unlikely. But if we're going to still pretend that the MVP award could go to a non-quarterback, this guy on my fucking hat, he's the one who deserves it still, even after that loss. But, Lamar Jackson, he could get it. But, Gary, I mean, I'm sorry. I just took that a little personally because, me and Toddy, neither of us have been the ones screaming for Brock Purdy.
Vaughn said. Who did you say MVP was last week, Vaughn? Did you say Purdy?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Go for him. Go for him, Gary.
He has the numbers.
I just wanted to make sure that
the numbers back up that
he's make sure that he's not in the conversation. So if he wins next week, he's back in the conversation because I think it's done. It's over with now.
No, it's over now.
You can't hop back in now.
Because he lost.
But you can even see this week. CMC showed that he still got 100 yards.
This year, currently, it's like a down year. It's a down year for MVP as a whole because everybody wants to give it to Patrick Mahomes every year. Aaron Rodgers is hurt. Joe Burrow is hurt. Josh Allen is having a down year. Trevor Lawrence sucks. I mean, it's just kind of like Aaron Rodgers is hurt. Like all the guys that they want to give it to aren't having good years. So it's like, who the fuck are we gonna give it to? They were trying to give it to Dak, and the Dak showed you like, oh my god, so it's kind of just a down year for MVP because usually the guy that
no one's been perfect.
They're throwing 40 touchdowns. Like that's like a prerequisite damn near to throw. And the guy who I think Purdy has 33 touchdowns currently right now, if I'm not mistaken. That's like a low for MVPs current. Like going back and past MVPs, usually guys throw 40+ touchdowns.
Yeah, for sure.
MVP.
Yeah, usually it's definitive, but this year, like you were saying, they kind of just want to give it to anyone at this point. It's like a revolving door. And just
someone
to address
take this thing.
Yeah, right. I know someone literally needs to take it and be like, this is going to be mine. And Lamar Jackson honestly might have done that last night. And Jaevon, you even quote tweeted something that Lamar Jackson said last night that I thought was pretty interesting as well. Did you want to touch on that before we moved on?
So are we talking about Florio?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I guess Mike Florio came on whatever his show is, like Pro Football Talk, I think. and
Yeah.
basically was talking about how he was basically like glazing the Niners basically, and just saying like the Niners are this good. They're like they blow out good teams, and he was essentially saying that the Niners were going to blow out the Ravens. It's not going to be close. Like the Ravens shouldn't even show up or something like that. And then Lamar was like, "Hey," he's like, "Florio, where you at?" And so in his post game presser, he's basically taking shots at him, saying like, he's like he's a grown man. At the end of the day, he respects their opponents, and their opponents respect them. So, um, had this on the hotline and didn't work out for it. By the way, hotline went 500 last week, 3-3.
Oh
I
yeah.
will be better, by the way. But just even Marlon Humphrey, I saw him say he was kind of talking shit during the week, and he was talking a shit ton of during the week, and he even mentioned in his post game press like we were 5.5 point favorites. Now that I'm kind of looking at it, it was kind of weird that the best team in the AFC was five, like basically touchdown underdogs, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, that's a chunk. It's not like 1.5 or anything. Because I mean,
I thought initially would have been like 2.5, 3. Just based off, just giving the Ravens a little bit more respect. But Lamar didn't really take too kindly what Lamar said. So Ravens are the number 1 seed. Even going back, I think I said last week that there was an odds maker saying that the Niners would be favored by 5.5 against anybody in the league. That's anybody. And we saw this.
Not anymore.
Yeah, so things change very rapidly.
Life comes at you fast. Gary, did you want to say one last thing before we moved on to your squad?
And earlier I lied. I said that everyone gets slapped, and I'm not gonna lie. I just looked at Ravens' real quick schedule. They haven't got slapped this year. They haven't got slapped one time. Literally, the biggest loss they had is funny to say. These were my Steelers by 7. The other 2 losses they had.
They weren't even supposed to lose that game. That's a crazy
by
part.
3. Exactly. I'm not glad it wasn't, but Ravens Steelers, anything can happen. I'm not gonna lie. No matter what year it is, to be honest. We lost by 3, and they lost by 3 another game, and they lost by I think like Indiana. I'm probably losing it right now. I forgot. I can't find it right now. But yeah, so basically lost to all in all by 14 points all year. Like if you just go total, So that's still that's some team actually that I had to say, who haven't really took a beating. So and which is tip a hat to them because you know why? Last year the last couple years they've been knocking, but they've been injured, and this year they've been injured again. But they found a way to keep them, at least being competitive and being in every single game, and they got the right formula for their team. So you got to give your tip of the hat to Mr. Harbaugh too over there because he's been running it for a long time. And I feel we always talk about Bill, we always talk about my guy too, Mike Tomlin. So along the third probably tenured coach in this league is probably Jim Harbaugh. So you got to give him some credit, John. I meant
It's all good. As you guys are tuned in to episode number 70 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Gary Singh, Jaevon Toddy, our guy Kevin Dent is holding down the Sacramento Kings fans out in Portland tonight. And I just wanted to get to a couple of YouTube comments. And I found out, we go live on StreamYard every week. And through that, we're live on X. We're live now for the first time on Instagram, as well as on YouTube, obviously. And so I just wanted to get to a couple of YouTube comments. But before we get to these YouTube comments, guys, I just wanted to say, if anyone is tuned in on X, feel free to comment too, because for the first time, now we can see your comments and we can highlight your comments from X, formerly known as Twitter, here on StreamYard. And
you can do the same thing with Instagram too, or no?
No, not Instagram yet, even though I do see Kevin and Alyssa on Instagram in the comments. Alyssa says, "Go Eagles." I didn't really want to read it, but I guess I'll read it. And Kevin says, "Not Stats Over Politics live on Instagram." Oh, yes, sir, we are. And so just to bring it back old school, getting back to our YouTube comments, shout out to Uncle Manny for always locking in with us. He says, "Time to get it started." He let us know it's time for Stats Over Politics. Have a great show. We appreciate you, Uncle Manny. And then Kevin says, "Light the beam." Unfortunately, he says, "Go Eagles." And Uncle Manny wants Kevin to enjoy the game. Light the beam, Kings. And all right, Kaz, how we feeling,
homies? Not good. Not good.
Feels great. Feels great, Kaz. I'm sorry. I'm gonna overuse.
I'm sorry, Kaz. I ain't got the controls, man. We got the Niner fan have the controls.
Yeah, sorry, Kevin's not here to take over my producer powers. Anyways, we just covered it pretty well. We got our asses kicked, Kaz. That's how we're feeling. But on to the next, because Toddy, what was the main takeaway from yesterday's game? It's the fact that who still runs the NFC?
The San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Probably because
Clip it, Cam. I want you to clip it.
And they probably still run the NFC because, let's not forget, the 49ers might have lost by 14 yesterday. But, they did beat the Cowboys by 32 points. They did beat the Eagles by 23 points in Philly. Oh, shit. Go ahead, Gary.
No, keep going. Go ahead. This would be totally a side note. I just feel bad for one team. Just seeing it go across my timeline, I just feel so bad. Feel bad to Detroit fans and the Pistons, man. Lost another game. Shit.
They had 40, and they lost.
Bro, I'm like, can y'all get a win? Anyway, go ahead. Go back to the Cowboys.
Man, who's rotting away in Detroit right now? None other than MB3, Mr. Marvin Bagley III. He thought he was upgrading leaving Sacramento. Now you know.
That thought he was upgrading too.
Exactly, yeah. And we haven't seen anything from the Team Bagley Twitter account in a while. So, yeah.
DNP.
Yeah, and Mr. Bagley is a DMP when it comes to his ex post now. Anyways, moving on here on episode number 70 of Stats Over Politics. Let's get to Gary's team, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who handled the Bengals and Jake Browning. Shout out Jake Browning from Folsom High School. But this was probably the worst game of Jake Browning's NFL career. But, it's going to happen, especially when Jake Browning. I mean, I'll state my analysis on this, and I'll throw it to Gary first. But, Gary, the Steelers beat the Bengals 34-11, now 8-7. Mike Tomlin needs one more win to ensure another winning season. This guy just doesn't lose. He doesn't lose.
Man, oh man, I came with my Steelers shirt. We're prideful. I wear it in losses too, guys. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, I always rocking with my Pittsburgh Steelers no matter what. And, again, I could be like Shaun. I could take a positive. I could take a negative. Obviously, we're 8-7. We're in the hunt still. We're behind quite a few teams, to be honest with you. A lot of teams are 8-7 right now in the AFC, but at least we're there in the hunt. Probably going to need some help at the very end, as long as we handle our business, I think, because I haven't got to look at the situations yet, to be honest with you. So, but, man, oh, man, okay. Well, I ain't gonna lie, when Shaun sent the Rudolph, I was so weak when I did. I said, what's our third topic today? He sent the little the red-nosed reindeer, Rudolph, what is his name? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. And I was dying weak. So I'm like, man, we get to talk about the Steelers. That's crazy because I not think we're going to talk about them. After last week, I was like, we ain't talking about them the rest of the year. It's all good. They'll be on the little quick hitters, and that's about it. But, hey. What can you say, man? I'm just happy my team came out to fight and show some Steeler pride. Simple as that. I think if you're a Steelers fan, one thing you've been most frustrated with is, like, no matter how bad we are in any which way on the defense, offense, any part of the ball, special teams, I feel like no matter what, you can see all the past ex-Steelers just preach that there's a Steelers way, and that's just hard-hitting and show up and every down, every rep type of football. And, at least even if we've been bad, we've always done that. And seeing, like our guy George Pickens, not blocking, things of that nature. Yeah, I know he told us to, he told Ono basically, be quiet, whatever. He's not hearing the noise, but I love to see it because, we agree. We want you not to hear my noise, my boy. We didn't want this to be any topics because then you got people who are correct, and my guy Shannon Sharp, talking about basically all the wide receivers that done disrespected us in our tenure as a Pittsburgh Steeler. And then it makes us look bad. It looks like makes Mike Tomlin look bad. Like when you talk to any other player, you can probably talk to those guys themselves. They love Mike T. You know what I'm saying? All the players around him love him as a coach. No one's quote unquote getting tired of the message, getting tired of hearing his voices, his speeches, and you don't hear none of that from the locker room. So that's why I'm happy that narrative kind of got slapped and basically taken out this week, because I know if they would have lost this week, that narrative probably would have been even more caught on fire, and the flames would have been even more higher and trying to fire Mike Tomlin, or does he need to leave us, or things of that nature. Just that whole talk. And I know that probably could still come up again by the Pittsburgh Steelers fan. In my opinion, I know there's Pittsburgh Steelers fans that probably feel all different types of ways, but I do feel like that, that we have more problems. Our problem is not Mike T. Our problem is the offense. And it's not going to get fixed like our interim offensive coordinator said when he first got hired. No one's changing. Like, what do you think? The whole book? You think we're just going to throw out the whole offensive book and restart the whole thing? Like, no, you're just basically all what's gonna happen is we're just gonna change up a few things in terms of when are things gonna get called, just switching up in that nature. And at the end of the day, no matter how it's like a salad or whatever. I'll put a salad. No matter if all the ingredients in the salad are old or not looking right, you need a whole new ingredient. You need a whole new salad. And by saying that is that we need a whole new playbook. We need to look like I said. I love like even though I hate the Niners in general because you guys, but in like Miami, these are those offenses that are just so intricate, and you can't say Chiefs that have magical just ways of obviously have magical players and they have great players to make the playbook great. Don't get me wrong, obviously, but they also have the mastermind behind the offense, where you could just see this make creative thing. At least things are creative. Something at the end of the day, just beat your man, go win one-on-one and be talented, in your own right. But, some part of the game comes down to setting up your guys for success. And we haven't been set up for success, and we got talented guys like George Pickens and things of that nature. So I'm happy to see this week, first play of the game, boom, bada bang, catching for a big tud, walking to the end zone, give our team some life because, we ain't seen that too many times this year at all. So seeing that being a big part of our offense, us stepping up on defense, which we already know we've been through it, even though, again, Kev, I'm going back to week one when we called our offense or defense JV, and I've been saying it. It's not JV, it's a JV offense. So, again, you see it this week. We get 3 interceptions. We put the pressure on the sack town man himself and Browning, and he has a bad game, even though I've been going for him lately because obviously he's from Sac, Folsom, whatever you want to call it, from our area, and you want to see him do good representing us in the 916 and in Northern California. But I'm happy to see him lose this week because it's to my Steelers, and we got to him. And, man, I seen at halftime because I was at work during this time too, so I watched the whole game over and things of that nature again. I was watching I wanted to watch the whole thing over again, but I did watch parts by parts during the game. And to see me up, we were up by 21, whatever half. I was like, oh shit, what is happening? What did we do? So, I'm not gonna say I believe in Mason Rudolph if that's what people want me to say. No, I've seen this guy a lot of times. I'm just glad he showed up in his moment. He was ready. I felt bad for him, actually. He was cut, brought back, tried to go find another team, couldn't find, came back to us, just been sitting in that back position, just getting ready. And, a couple years ago, he got thrown around by Myles Garrett with a helmet, man. After that incident, I didn't think he ever was going to come back to our team again. But, you got to give credit to a man who just sticks to it, puts the work in, get ready for his number to get called, and, shows up when his name was called. We don't know, obviously, I don't see him as a franchise quarterback, but man, oh man, thank you, Mr. Rudolph, for coming out, playing a great game, throwing 290 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, being smart. We had finally had the offensive line giving some lanes to Najee to get 78 yards. Jalen Warren having the big explosive plays to give us those big yards and inches. So, man, oh man, I'm just happy to see my team hitting on all cylinders and offense finally. The defense could always put this type of performance up. And yeah, the Bengals, this about time they come back down to earth after Joe Burrow's gone. So, because they should really call it a wrap. Joe Burrow's not here. Where y'all really going, to be honest? But I guess y'all can win.
They won 3 in a row until this game.
Yeah, y'all can win for some pride, but what's the point? You're not going deep in the playoffs. But hey, I give them credit for you getting it done. But at the end of the day, this is what happens when you don't have Joe Burrow at the helm. You can get got. And obviously, my team, we don't got a guy at the helm too that's A1, so we might get got two coming forward here.
And I will just interject real quickly before we get Toddy's thoughts on this, that they're not just missing Joe Burrow, they're also missing Jamar Chase, which is kind of a big deal. Toddy, what did you think about the Steelers beating the Bengals 34-11?
But your guy, T. Higgins, showed up today at 5 for 140. How about that?
It was great for me in my consolation bracket of our Stats Over Politics Fantasy Football League because I've been cooked. I think my team in our Stats Over Politics Fantasy League, and we've already talked about the trade that Toddy and I made and how Toddy finessed me. I thought it was the other way. Toddy ultimately finessed me, but I think I started 1-8, and I'm now I'm 6-10. So my team is cooking. It just took a little while.
Just to go back to the game, I had the Bengals on the hotline -2.5. It didn't look good from the start. Mason Rudolph looked like Brett Favre out there. George Pickens looked like Randy Moss. He went 4 for 195. 4 for 195 and 2 touchdowns. So 50% of his catches were touchdowns, which was insane. When George Pickens, every time he scored, you always go, every time he scores, he do that.
Mm-hmm.
But he also said that he kept receipts apparently on his Instagram. So
did John.
we'll talk about a little. We'll talk about 12 probably on the NBA show, maybe a little
Yeah,
bit.
we'll see you guys Friday for that.
But Mason Rudolph, was it always Mason Rudolph all along? Should he have been playing this whole time that Kenny Pickett was out? I don't know. Was Mitch Trubisky hurt or he just got benched, Gary? I'm not sure. Was because
Or benched.
I was assuming Mitch was going to be playing, but they're like, we're turning to Mason Rudolph, and he goes 290 for 2 touchdowns. I mean, what more can you ask for? Najee had a solid game, 78 yards and a touchdown. Um, it was pretty much the George Pickens show, though. They couldn't stop him. They could not stop him. He was the guy that most Steelers fans thought that he currently was. Would like to see Deontay Johnson get a little bit more involved. I mean, that could just be Mitch is the quarterback, Mason Rudolph. But George Pickens was happy at the end of the day. Browning seems like he had empty stats, threw for 335, but he also had 3 picks. So um, love Jake. I think Jake Browning's pretty good, but is he starting to turn into a frog a little bit? Maybe. But Steelers are 8-7 now, right, Gary? So they're
Yeah.
they're knocking on the door. Like Gary said, they got to win out for the most part. But not too sure where this Bengals team is, and the Cleveland Browns are in the running for trying to win the NFC North
led by Joe Flacco.
So this division is going to shake up these next couple of weeks. So a lot to learn here.
Before we do move on from the Steelers, I'm unable to highlight the Instagram comments yet. New feature on Instagram Live here with Stats Over Politics, but I did just copy and paste it. So we got a question from a user on Instagram. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your @name. @King Shako _16 says, question: where do you guys rank the Steelers defense right now? Gary, since you've been taking the slander about the JV defense since week 1, I'm going to start with you. Where do you rank the Steelers defense right now?
To be honest, it's hard to say because I bet you if you look at the numbers that we're not going to be that top ranked because we've got ran a couple times. So numbers wise, you ain't gonna really. I don't think we would probably even be top 5, top 7 right now. Like there's too many teams ahead of us. In terms of just having an overall resume
Niners.
in the whole season. Yep, the Niners, the Ravens, you could put ahead of us. The Jets have had, the New England Patriots too, obviously. The Browns. So I'm trying to think who else has had a great, I'm trying to think. That's
Eagles.
pretty much, I would say, Eagles, Eagles too. So those teams right there, I would say obviously are ahead of us right now. In terms of, if we had a balanced
defense
team.
than the Eagles.
If we have a balanced team, I would say that we are. Let's just say if we go defense for defense and player for player, I think our defense can match up with anybody, to be honest with you. I think we can stop anyone in this league if all the pressure's not on them to do everything, and basically, which is to be our offense too sometimes. So, I mean, you can go down the list of Pro Bowlers. We got Minka in the backfield. We got, we got TJ in the front, Cam Hayward. We got a lot of guys who come after you and in the backfield. So I thought we're up there in terms of our defense, but we got some things to still fix, King Shako. We got a lot of things to fix.
Toddy, where do you rank the Steelers defense right now?
I'd say like anywhere from 15 to 20. Like they're okay. I feel like they're
AKA
third.
Gary mid.
They're like third best. Like in their division, they're third. Like I feel like Cleveland's defense is better. I feel like the Ravens' defense is better, and I mean the Bengals are. They just gave a 34 to the Steelers. So
let's just say we got spurts where we did in top 5 for sure.
Congrats on your spurts.
You guys, I think realistically, your defense is 2 guys: Minka on the back end and TJ Watt. Obviously, pretty much every year he's Defensive Player of the Year candidate. So I don't really, they're not. When Kev said they're in JV defense, I kind of still believe that. even though my cousin is
is a linebacker
TJ
Watt
on the team.
wreck games.
I think that's one guy though.
And that guy, part of defense, make a defense
play. He's one guy. I just gave him his respect. I said he's literally, he's in the Defensive Player of the Year.
I know you didn't disrespect him, but him alone makes our defense hella good. That's what I'm trying to say. So go ahead.
I don't really think their defense is that good, but it's good enough for the most part. They get keyed stops. They get like timely stops.
Yeah, the Steelers, they have TJ Watt. They have the player formerly known as Patrick Peterson, and they also have Michael Walker, and then everyone else.
Oh yeah.
Bro, send me a jersey.
Oh yeah, send me a jersey, Mom. And ask somebody to go sign it for me too.
Well, Gary, Uncle Manny says Steelers better beat the Seahawks because Ravens are next. The MVP will be going all out, and that's a great point by Uncle Manny. And then our guy Kaz says, all I know is I'm loving the way this season is turning out. Playoffs are going to be insane. Everyone's been exposed for their weakness. Like, not a hypothetical question here, but genuinely.
Everyone got slapped.
Have the Ravens been exposed, though? Because Gary mentioned earlier their biggest loss was to the Steelers by 7 points. So I would disagree with that point. Everyone in the NFC has gotten exposed. But as far as now, the best team in the NFL being the Baltimore Ravens, I don't know if they've gotten exposed. Do either of you think that they've gotten exposed to this point?
Oh, really? I wouldn't say so. Like, they've lost really close games. Most of the game, I think pretty much all the games that they've lost, like, they were winning, like, in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier, yeah.
Fold.
But
they kind of just fold in the fourth.
I think they can get exposed and they can lose if Lamar Jackson's not being great. Like, let's not get twisted here. If he's not playing great, he's not doing his things. Again, if any quarterback obviously throws many picks, it's going to make them lose. You know, like we mentioned earlier, you have turnovers that makes you lose the game. But obviously, if Lamar Jackson, let's say he's not even throwing picks, but he's just not having a good game, it's going to be pretty hard for him to win in terms of he's just the engine. Like, he needs to make sure that even if they're not doing good, he still needs to make a couple clutch plays for them to win. So if Lamar Jackson's hitting in any which way, it's pretty hard to see a weakness right now for this team.
Yeah, and just to circle back real quickly to that Monday Night Football game, I was watching it with my mom and her boyfriend, and they both were just like, and I'm thinking about that. I think it was in the second quarter. Jaevon, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Gary as well. But I think that one crazy run that Lamar went on where he cut up to the left and then cut back into the middle and was like evading defenders like it was
end of the half one.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And that player in particular, my mom and her boyfriend, both of their reactions was, it's like, what are we doing? We're just letting him walk through. I'm like, okay, guys. I know it doesn't look good, but that's the greatness of Lamar Jackson. He won an MVP for a reason, and he is just that good.
Oh, that boy's going fast. You think they ain't trying to stop him right there? They see him coming. They just see him go, bye-bye.
Yeah, and then my mom's boyfriend Dave, he asked me, he was like, well, why isn't he doing that more? Usually with mobile quarterbacks, like, you see them running a lot more than Lamar has been of late. And I said to him, well, he did that a lot more earlier in his career, dealt with a couple injuries, and realized that he needed to be more selective with it. And now he's sitting back in the pocket, proving he can do that as well. But then he might decide, all right, play's breaking down, time for me to be me. And we see the product of it. So there you go. As we move on here on episode number 70 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Gary Singh and Jaevon Toddy. Our guy Kevin Dent will be back with us again on Friday as he plans to be lighting the beam in Portland tonight. Go ahead, Gary.
Before we move on, I don't know if you're going to do this later on, Shaun, but you can do it real quick before we go to the next topic. Might as well shout out to the two people who are in the championship right now. Manny made it to the championship, and just Super Squad. I don't know. I forgot. I don't know.
That's Julian.
Julian made it to the championship. It's Manny versus Julian. You know, Julian's number one all year, so you know he said, "I've been here." He's been waiting for this all year. And Manny came from 5th place all the way down. So let's see. I know he was hyped up yesterday talking about it because he won our family league too. He's trying to go get 2 rings. It's big time from Unc because, you know, I ain't gonna lie to you. Fantasy ain't been his thing the last few years, so I know he's big happy. So he's our number one fan right now.
Yeah, and shout out to the birthday boy, Mr. Emmanuel Anderson, who told all season long that his top 3 picks being wide receivers were going to lead him to a championship. Well, unfortunately, Manny, they are going to lead you to, at best, 3rd place. Exactly. And so, exactly.
Yeah,
shout out to Julian. Shout out to Uncle Manny. Yeah,
we look dumb, man. None of us made it, guys. Sheesh.
Hey, man, I wouldn't say that.
Hey, y'all fine for last place, man. Shit, I just looked at that.
Nah, we're fighting for 9th. That, Gary, you just read my mind because I was going to say the matchup I'm really looking forward to this weekend is for 9th place between Jaevon and I.
My last one, technically?
It looks like you actually have set your lineup because I knew that there was a couple weeks where you didn't.
She said I might be last or my brother might be last. Somebody might be last.
I mean, we just gotta go back 1 week real
I
quick.
think Jesse is last.
Yeah, Jesse's last. Jesse, yeah, Jesse got last. So it was
We ain't
Evan
talking
versus
about that.
Jesse. Yeah, let's not highlight that. All right, let's keep it moving. I mean,
He just
Jesse
wants
blamed.
KD. He just wants KD to come to the Kings. That's it.
All right, well, there you go. I think we all want that. But Jesse, don't blame me. Blame this guy who decided to shout out Uncle Manny for making it to the championship. He's the reason why we're talking about the Stats Over Politics Fantasy Football League, as we're keeping it moving here on episode number 70 of Stats Over Politics. Now, guys, let's get to the final NFL game from Week 16 that we're going to get to in its entirety.
Speaking of Jesse,
real quickly. Speaking of Jesse, and so the Dolphins they beat the Cowboys 22-20, and the Cowboys they lose another big game against another big opponent. And okay, well, first of all, I can't move on without highlighting these comments real quickly because we just got to address this real quick. Our guy Khalil Jaevon, he's tapped in right now, and when Garry, when you just mentioned that Jesse wants Kevin Durant, future Hall of Famer, top 10 player, probably all time, to come to the Sacramento Kings, Khalil's response was, fuck no. Keep KD over there. I don't know if I agree with that, but I appreciate you.
I mean, he's averaging 30. I don't know if you guys need that at all. By the way,
we got leaders. I love KD, but we got leaders. He could just chill. Shoot.
After that Celtics game, Jaevon, yes, please bring KD to town.
After we just beat them. Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh well, Khalil says he's always hurt. That's what happens with age, and that's part of why I said that Bradley Beal should be the second best player on this team. But Bradley Beal can't even take the fucking court, so I look like an idiot.
Oh, that's looking bad. Yeah, Shaun's looking bad, bro. I didn't even get to cook you on that this year. I didn't even get to cook you on that.
Yeah,
shouldn't have brought that. I forgot about that. Wait till I get back on the basketball episode.
We're gonna have to hop on a Friday pod just so you can cook me for that take. But anyways, guys, getting to the Dolphins beating the Cowboys 22-20. Jaevon, I'm gonna start out with you. Was this more so about the Dolphins beating the Cowboys or the Cowboys losing to the Dolphins? And the reason why I frame it that way is because the thing that was so interesting about this game going in, both teams at 10-4, but a lot of those 10 wins that each team had was against losing teams or mid teams, not against the winning teams. That's where those 4 losses for each team came, was when they played against equal to superior competition. Oh. Anyways, so Jaevon, Dolphins beat the Cowboys 22-20. What were your thoughts on this one?
Never a doubt. Had the Dolphins were on the hotline. I mentioned this on the Friday pod. I was talking to a Cowboy fan, and he was telling me, he was like, "Oh, like what do you guys think of the season? How do you think everything's going?" He's like, "Oh, we're pretty good. Usually at home we're pretty good, but on the road, Dak just looks like a different guy." And I was like, you know what? I gotta take that into account. Maybe he might be. The Cowboy fans would know, right? And so I'm just thinking, like, Tua and the Dolphins. Mostert's playing. Tyreek Hill's playing. He had 99 for 9. Jalen Waddle was kind of in and out of the lineup. I think he ended up getting hurt. But, the Cowboys went up late in the game. There was a questionable touchdown that should have been had by Tony Pollard where he took a bad angle on the end zone, and then Dak ends up fumbling the next play on, like, the tush push. So that was points kind of taken off the board.
That's copyrighted by Philadelphia, so they didn't allow it.
Yeah. So, I think I'm going to give it to the Dolphins here. I thought the Cowboys played good enough to win. Dak Prescott let his team down to kind of go down and take the league, and Tua let his team down with the drive. I think they had a pass interference call that kind of helped them get into field goal range. But you got to get hats off to the Dolphins. Mike McDaniel's doing a phenomenal job over there. We'll see how good they're kind of in the weeds for the number 1 seed. Let's kind of look out for them. But
they needed our help last night. We couldn't help Mikey D out.
Mike McDaniel. But I thought this game was very back and forth. A lot of Cowboy fans were crying because Michael Parsons and CeeDee Lamb were getting held at different points in time during the game. But I mean, that's the NFL. They're star players. For us, even the San Francisco 49ers, like Nick Bosa gets held on every play for the most
You
part.
just read my mind.
So I'm just you kind of just got to take it with a grain of salt. They got a big game coming up this week against the Lions at home. I feel like the total for this game is 53.5, and I think that's the highest total for the NFL season. So they're predicting it's going to be very high scoring. I think it's going to be a fairly good game, but I feel like the Cowboys will win that game just because they're at home and they play really well in Jared World. The only caveat to that is Jared Goff indoors looks like freaking Peyton Manning. So this is an indoor game. That's probably why the total was so high. So maybe we might take the over in that game. Shout out to the hotline.
Shout out to the hotline. And all right, I'm gonna look at this camera real quick. I only got one camera, so it's not like I need to look too far. Let's go. Uncle Manny, Jesse, Julian,
Truly.
Bob. Let's throw all the Cowboys fans in there, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear shit about a Cowboy being held until it's in the biggest game of the year. Because this play right here was on 3rd and 17 when Mahomes ultimately ended up getting it down to Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill did the rest. But Jaevon, Cowboys fans, they can't relate to having their player be held in the biggest game of the year because they haven't been there since the 90s. But I get flamed all the time because I'm like, oh, the 49ers, at least they've made it to the Super Bowl a couple times in this century, unlike the Cowboys. But it's like, oh, but did you win? And that's where my argument ends every time. But, again, I will just say, I don't want to hear anything from the Cowboys fans until your player is actually being held when it matters most. But yeah, you never know. If they could get there this year, who knows? Anyways, Gary, I wanted to get your thoughts on this one because, I just came after 2 of your family members, Cowboys Nation, we them boys. But what did you think about this one?
I think you're on the money, Shaun, because, I hate the Cowboys too. So, at the end of the day, this is what I said coming into this week. Like you put perfectly, Shaun, there was 2 teams that have been doing great this year and being the teams they're supposed to beat, but the teams that are over 500, that could be a potential playoff matchup, teams that are in potential Super Bowl hunt, they have lost to, and they haven't looked really good to. So both of the teams were kind of a prove it game. Can we beat a good team? And, Miami showed up and showed out in terms of playing. They left a lot of points left on this field too. There's a couple plays, two of the Tyreek didn't connect when they easily connected, especially in that 4th quarter. He threw one a little bit behind him, and man, if he would have hit him in the breadbasket, he would have been gone. You could just see you'd have seen they zoomed out on the field. Like he had a whole lane to get through that. And, Tyreek, 2 guys to the pile on. I take my money on Tyreek any day to put that money on him to get there before those guys do to beat him to that corner. So at the end of the day, the Dallas Cowboys do what they always do in terms of, I know my family hates to hear it, but they shoot themselves in the foot themselves. Simple. They beat themselves. Like they had one turnover, which made Dak look pedestrian going into Miami. And that's why both of these teams really, really, really need home field advantage, because if they go through home for either one of these teams and Miami's perspective, you want to go through home, not because you can't go to other areas and win. It's just because the track field type of team they have, it's just way easier and better climate in dome situations. And obviously Miami where it's sunny. Like you don't want to take that show to Kansas City in the cold, the Bills in the cold, Green Bay in the cold, any of those cold places. It can work, but it's going to look tough. It's just natural. You hear football players, it's going to be tough, you know what I'm saying, to have that finesse type offense in those type of areas. So them getting this game was really big for them, and them showing out in terms of, being a good team, playing, it wasn't a shootout either. Like it could have been in a way, but it wasn't. They played some good defense to get some timely stops to make this Dallas Cowboys offense that we know that when they get it cooking, they can get rolling. They can get rolling with a lot of points being scored on that board. So them be able to get key stops, especially in the red zone area, was good for them. Also, they get the ball back, Tua comes down, and they show a clutch moment. They go ahead and go up and hit that field goal for the win. So at the end of the day, you gave too much time to those guys too at the end of the day too. So, and you wanted your defense, the best part of your team, you would say would be the defense. And you want that, like if I'm a Steelers fan, sorry to say, but not sorry to say, I know I want my defense at the end of the game to win the game for me because I believe in them a lot. I don't want my offense trying to go win the game right now, this moment, the way we look at. Just like for the Dallas Cowboys, I feel like, yeah, we have an offense that's humming all cylinders, but at the end of the day, you guys rely a lot on this defense to get cooking for your offense. And they didn't show up and get those timely stops. And, you've seen the Miami Dolphins capitalize that and show that, they can have some clutch moments too. So you got to give Miami a lot of credit. You got to give Miami and Tua a lot of credit. Tua hasn't got too many praises this year because of how good Tyreek has been, but he obviously, with all the slander and stuff he has gotten this year, and Rasheed Mostert, they have A-Chain come back this week, but Mostert's been killing it all year, and when A-Chain had a great start to the year and he got injured. So this team look like they're hitting their stride towards a very good time of the year, and that's what you want to do in the NFL. And a team that we're going to talk about probably later real quick in a quick take is the Rams that I kind of gave a little preview for, that they can be scaring some teams in playoffs if they're getting cooking right too. So teams that are cooking right now, like the Miami Dolphins, looking good, 11-4, could get that number 1 seed. Finding what Baltimore is going to be really, really important for them to finish off strong. And yeah, Dallas Cowboys drop another one where, they could have went to go make something. If they win this game, they put another stamp like, nah, we ready. This is a different Dallas Cowboys team. We beat the Eagles like we wanted to be. Yeah, we didn't beat the Niners, and that's a bugaboo. But hey, if you guys have to come through Dallas, it could be maybe a different story. Maybe, if they would have done that. So, they're again shoot themselves in the foot. And yeah, you take it from Dallas Cowboy fan themselves, like Ron said. Talk to the Cowboy fans. Yeah, there's ones that think crazy and Dak's him, and yeah, he's playing great. But something to be said for you look like two different quarterbacks. You can't be looking like you can't be MVP when you look like two different quarterbacks at home and away. Like that actually in NBA they call that, and the NBA, they what they call that? They call that what they always say, like, oh, you're gonna see when the role players, if they're what Stephen always says, you're gonna be sweating like Similac and whatever, they're gonna be palms getting sweaty and all that, all of those things. Because basically, when you're in a different environment in a way, and it's turned up to 1,000,000 in that thing, and everyone's booing you, and it's prime time versus a good team, are you gonna fold? Or are you going to be Heemster? I haven't said that in a while. You're going to be him. You're going to, you're going to come back and be top dog. So at the end of the day, that's Cowboys didn't show that, and they're going to have another week to prove it. But it's the same old problem. Can't beat the team that they need to beat. So, and you know what? Okay, you can't say that because they beat the Eagles. They did beat the Eagles. So you got to give them tip of the cap to that. At the end of the day,
what? But where did they beat them? At home.
At home. Not just that too. Yeah, we beat them, okay, but we all know.
And Gary, where will the Cowboys be in the playoffs? On the road.
Exactly. So I know some Dallas Cowboys love here. We might have to have a guy come in and get some Dallas Cowboys love because I know we don't have none on this chat because I know we always be killing them. But you gotta give them credit. They're 10-5. They're doing good, but still, there's just something missing, and they know it too. Something's missing. That's about it. If Dak would have stamped these last 2 games, he'd be MVP and call it a wrap and say, basically, fuck your home and away record. I'm the MVP. Just go look at it. So, again, Dak got to just take that shit, man. Pack that bag, man. Pack the MVP bag on the road, man.
Yeah, I want to apologize to We Dem Boys because we here on Stats Over Politics will not be promoting any Dallas Cowboys propaganda. If there's a big game that we need to bring a Cowboys fan on to preview, all right, they can do it themselves. But between 2 49ers fans, a Steelers fan, and then Kevin being an Eagles fan, you ain't going to hear anything positive about the Dallas Cowboys on this podcast. I mean, we'll give them credit when it's due. But if you can't win on the road when it matters, then how are you going to get to the Super Bowl? That's all I'm wondering. And Jaevon, I obviously have not gotten over this holding call with Bosa being held in the Super Bowl back in 2020. Khalil told me to let it go. I just wanted to ask Jaevon,
let it go.
Have you let it go? All right. I guess I'm the only one who's holding on to it. I'm still sick. Makes me sick.
Yeah.
Here I am. Super Bowl. But yeah, Jimmy G with the overthrow to Emmanuel Sanders. Yeah, let's just. Why did I do that to myself? I was the one who opened that can of worms, and now it's something that I can't seem to close. I apologize for that because, I apologize because I was the one that did that. Anyways, moving on here on episode 70 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Jaevon and Garry Singh. Kevin Dent will be back with us again on Friday. Now, guys, as we do every week, let's get to our speedy week 16 NFL recap. Garry, you alluded to this game, so we'll start out with you as the Rams beat the Saints 30-22.
Man, the Rams. I told y'all last week, I wish, we can go back and look at the tape. The Rams have been cooking slowly but surely. You don't want to see this team in the playoffs. Simple as that. You don't want to see this team in the playoffs. They got Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. They got guys in this league who have won with the top three. They got a rookie who's been killing all the records. So offensively, they're going to be in these games. Defensively, they don't got that many weapons. They really don't. They got Aaron Donald, who's going to be prime time when it counts because he's still one of the best players of all time in his position. So, he can make some things happen. But at the end of the day, it's going to be pretty tough. So they can get into a shootout with somebody. And, yeah, I just wouldn't want to see a team that's very primed to know how to win in the playoffs. So they can spook a lot of people. And, yeah, you just don't want to face a team that's clutch and who has proven and have done it before. So I think the Rams are sneaking up on people 8-7, 5-3 at home. I don't know. Then obviously I know they're in the wild card. I don't know what wild card I'm trying to let's see. Well, I'm just curious real quick what wild card they're at just to see who they would play in a hypothetical situation. Right now they're in 6th. They would play I think Detroit or Philly.
Right now they would play Detroit. Yeah,
Detroit. So you. Bond, would you bet? I would bet there's a good chance I'd bet them going there. I know Detroit's really good. Don't get me wrong. They've been kicking two in all cylinders. So, hey, Khalil, the line's overrated. See, people who don't believe because they're a team kind of like the Kings in a way, where they're going to make the playoffs a long time after the first time in a very long time. So you're going to have to see them prove it. And again, the Lions still need to. It's like one of those. I always feel like you got to make NFL though is kind of different. You can kind of go skyrocket, but that's only if you have a great quarterback. If you don't have a great quarterback, not saying Jared Goff's not good, he's great. He's been doing good so far in solid in the Lions uniform. But you gotta take. They already got their win. They already should be happy as fuck for winning the division. They never did that in I think 20, 30 years, something crazy. So them just taking that first step,
30 years.
Hopefully they don't. Exactly. So them taking that first step maybe to go against the Rams, they lose in a close game, but they learn a lot. Then boom, next year they can make their next leap. So in that matchup right there, if we pull it up, the Rams can boom, upset alert right there. So we're gonna see wild card weekend, man. They look like they're pretty locked in right now in that spot too. Because I'm looking Minnesota 7-8. Seattle is the only thing they can really switch with. So it looks like they got the conference wins too right now over Minnesota as well. So man, it's looking like they're gonna be prime time in the playoffs. So let's see where they'll be heading to.
Well, as Jaevon said, context is important. Khalil, our dear friend, is a Packers fan. And so he says the Rams are banging the Lions. I guess it's going to be a Matthew Stafford revenge game back in Detroit. But we'll leave it there until that matchup actually might
I totally forgot.
happen.
That is true. I didn't even bring that up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Khalil even goes on to say, we gifted them one. Pack still running north. All right. Thank you, Khalil, for your contributions. All right, Jaevon, next game that we want to get to, the other Saturday game other than Garry's squad, was the Bills barely beating the Chargers, led by Easton Stick, 24-22.
I mean, the best bet in football might be Josh Allen interception. Pretty much he's guaranteed to throw you a pick every game, so you got to want to put a little bit of money. It might be like minus 140, minus 150, but something to definitely keep an eye on next game. But as far as the game goes, it was on Peacock, so it was probably a bunch of old people trying to figure out, how do I get the channel, the Peacock channel? But just kind of going to the game, Easton Stick, the Bills were like 12.5-point favorites. I thought that was a big number for the Bills. They're not really good at covering the spread, especially for big numbers. So I figured the Chargers come out, have a little bit of gumption. They just fired their head coach. So they might come out swinging a little bit. There was a couple of penalties down the stretch that kind of, aided the Bills a little bit to give them a couple more cracks at scoring on their final possession. But I thought the Chargers, they were kind of just playing a little bit over their heads in this game. Easton Stick played very much better than he did the week prior because they got 63 hung on their head. But
I mean, he doesn't play defense though.
It's not his fault, but that's probably why Staley ended up getting fired. So
I honestly think we didn't get into it too much.
All
I
are
just have to
playing
say
pretty
real
good.
quickly, it seems like the Chargers just fully quit on Brandon Staley, as they should. But, this game kind of proved that.
Keenan Allen, I feel like if he plays in this game, the Chargers might win this game. The Bills, I believe, control their own destiny. They have to win out as far as their playoff picture hopes and kind of what it would look like. But, having a very bad front half of the season and kind of trying to turn around a little bit towards the back half has been doing them well. Plus, there are some other teams ahead of them that aren't really helping themselves stay into the playoff picture. You got a bunch of teams starting to lose out. You got what was it? The Jags. Jags lost like 4 straight, I think, and then the Broncos are starting to lose a bunch. So the Bills, they just got to keep winning, and they're pretty much in. So hats off to the Bills for barely beating Easton Stick on Peacock Saturday Night Football.
Gary, we've already talked about 75% of your division, but the remaining quarter is the Cleveland Browns, who defeated the Texans 36-22. Oh, Gary, you are muted, my guy.
The mute button got you.
Oh, I said, Cleveland Browns. How do they keep on winning? I do not know. Well, they have great. They're putting up points, man. 36 points. I know CJ Stroud didn't play, and so you could take it from what you could take with the Texans. You can see now CJ Stroud was a big part of this offense. They ain't really been looking the same since he's been out. So you can see obviously they lost their guy too, and Tank Dell too from that horrific injury he suffered a few weeks ago. But at the end of the day, shit, old man, not respect the old man, cooking, man. Sheesh. 368 yards, 27 for 42. They got this man throwing 42 times at his age. And I remember I heard I guess he was sitting out Joe Flacco and came back,
on his mom's
one thing
couch.
about Joe Flacco, man. He, he's always not has been the greatest quarterback, and he's one of those quarterbacks that, man, even when it was in Baltimore, he played on how to play in a couple clutch moments, man. He knows how to play in a couple clutch moments. You have a team around him like this team does. He can get you over the hump. He can be quote unquote game manager, I guess you could say. He can make the right decisions. He can, he's seen everything in this league before. And one thing I think they're loving, like, he don't look scared, man. He just like, it's my last run. I already got a ball. I got the money. I just want to keep. I don't know why he wants to keep playing. To be honest, maybe I haven't seen the interview. I do want to kind of just, maybe he just wants to keep playing. Not saying you have to stop, but. A lot of things would add up and just be like, hey, there's no point of playing. I'm good. But, hey, he just he's back out there and just letting it rip. And, yeah, you get Cooper Kupp, man. Khalil said it perfect. Like, Cooper Kupp killing it. Sorry, Amari Cooper has been killing it. And so funny that the Dallas Cowboys looking like they needed him. Dallas look like a bad trade right now because if they still had him and that offense, see, that's why you pay your people sometimes, Dallas. Sometimes you don't want to be cheap bastards and don't want to pay people. They have done this a couple times with a couple people just to put them on Front Street. Simple as that. So, Jerry don't like to pay his guys they draft. He don't like to pay guys that come outside really that much. He has before, not saying that, but it hasn't really worked out as much in their favor as they probably wanted to, even though he likes to make splash plays. But anyways, gotta give him credit, man. They're doing what our team, what my team was doing when our quarterback's out. And our defense is carrying, and somehow, some way, our offense is still doing good with weapons they have, and they're just doing it way better than we are. Simple as that. So you got to give hats off to that coaching staff who's been putting them in great predicaments to win, and their team is just finding all cylinders, and they got a chance to make some noise because that defense. And hey, in this league, if you got a veteran at QB who's obviously showing that with some couple weapons that I know how to get them the ball and give my playmakers the ball to do some things, they can be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs too, because they just, as you guys know, they beat you guys, so they can shut people out. So yeah.
Yeah, they sure did. They held the 49ers to 17 points without Deebo Samuel or Trent Williams. Context matters.
They got the W, did they not? All right.
They sure did, because our rookie kicker couldn't do his job. Anyways,
is he off the team now?
No, he's still around. Dude, he was the third round pick. He ain't going nowhere.
I thought he got cut for that one.
Yeah, exactly. Like Jaevon said, we just don't kick field goals. Joe Flacco in this game, as was mentioned, had that 368 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Well, just to Amari Cooper. Like, Amari Cooper started the game on the game's first play, had a 53-yard reception, and then he ended the day with 11 receptions for 265 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Cooking, like he said.
Set the
cooking
franchise
in a
record
crock
for
pot.
Browns receiving yards. It was
I
held by
think
Josh
so.
Gordon. He set the franchise record.
There you go. Shout out to Josh Gordon, man. Like I saw something recently where it was like talking about how the NFL doesn't test for weed anymore, and it's like, okay, can Josh Gordon retroactively get his whole career back, please? Like
Yeah.
maybe. And
Bro,
then
bro
I
lost his
saw
whole
some
career to tree.
man, and I
I
saw
think it was a
someone
little bit
else
more than
say,
that. I think it was like a
I mean,
little bit,
yeah,
a little bit
probably,
of
to be honest.
that.
It probably was more of that, to be honest.
tree, and mental health, two big
Discipline.
factors.
Shout
Yeah,
out to him, though. Hopefully he's doing good now, man. Straight up. It's hard to fight those
yeah, for
demons
sure.
sometimes.
Yeah,
I
most
think he's in the
definitely.
XFL now.
Ooh.
Gee, hopefully he's getting
Well,
a little bag.
and XFL and USFL are merged now, so that'll be
Oh,
interesting
really?
come springtime.
That's a good
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
So next game, I'm sorry, I just lost track. Gary was talking about the Browns. Jaevon, the Jets beat the Commanders 30-28.
Barn burner. Saw somebody put up 220,000 for the Jets -3. Jets go up 27-0 by the second quarter, and then who was there? Brissett and the Commanders just came roaring back.
That's funny, bro. You really got to say
And
who's the
also,
quarterback this week?
yeah, I'm like, who's the quarterback? But it was just bad all over, just bad football. I mean, Trevor Siemian, not that good. Brees Hall had a really good game, so if you guys had him in fantasy, he did
I
really
got
well.
cooked by him in fantasy, but luckily I already got knocked out of the playoffs and it was in a consolation. Shout out to Colin.
Luckily.
It was it kind of hurt. It ends up hurting because the Jets won by 2. If he would have, if the Jets would have won by 3, he would at least pushed and not lose his 220 grand. But that was just
Up 27-0, like you said. That is just that's
20.
better's pain. Right
He probably turned the game off and just kicked his feet up and was like, "That's it, we're done." And then all of a sudden, yeah, they lost.
Jaevon, what do we call that?
A cold world.
It's a cold world. Gary, the Seahawks beat the Titans 20-17 as you recompose yourself from
Tighten
the
up.
sneeze.
Shout out to Evan.
This is why people
You heard
need
me?
to
I
tune
tried
in.
to turn it off.
No. I didn't hear you, but
Okay.
you muted yourself. But I saw you do it.
1 second
and
away. 1 second away.
that's
It's about to be
why.
all up in the mic.
Hey, well, good save. And that is exactly why people need to tune in on YouTube, Instagram, and X, so they can see all these things that you don't hear in the audio. Anyways, Gary, Seahawks beat the Titans 20-17.
Okay,
Tighten
plug
up.
talk Shaun. But all right, man. Sheesh, this Seahawks team, man. They back-to-back dubs. They beat the Eagles last week, beat the Titans this week, handling business to get into the playoffs. Now, are they gonna make noise in the playoffs? They're a tough team in terms of they can make some noise in terms of make it not so easy. But do I see them really pulling off an upset? No, I've seen them fold to me spots, especially versus Niners in big spots. Just haven't seen enough greatness. Geno Smith is doing really good. This league, you notice, man, you need some type of competent quarterback play to have some chance, and you got to give Geno Smith. We already sang his praises, I think, last year. Sang his praises at the beginning of this year in terms of just turning around his whole career, man, and showed up this week. Their defense, their team fought overall really good. Tennessee, man, I don't know what they're doing out there. Like, I know they fight. Mike Vrabel
Tighten
fights.
up.
This team,
Shout out to
there's a
Evan.
hard team. They're a hard team to pick in terms of the pick'ems because I'm like, I don't know which team I'm going to get. Am I going to get a team that's going to explode this week or just going to be basically nothing? It's like they're going to show up in terms of making it a tough game and not making an easy W for anybody. But in terms of Ryan Tannehill, that's pretty much done. You're kind of wasting. Derrick Henry showing that he's still got 88 yards, 19 carries. He's still showing that he can still do some things if you give him maybe some other weapons around to maybe ease the load on him, So in terms of also the receiving, you ain't nobody. They're not using D-Hop like that, man. D-Hop should have went somewhere else, man. And him and KC right now would have been something. They shouldn't have paid it. They didn't want to pay him how much he wanted, I think, and that would have been a big time help for that KC. As we know, we're probably going to touch on a little later here in the rundown. Quick takes that they're not looking that good right now, but I still believe. But anyways, back to this Seahawks. Yeah, they're it's a good win for them. Back-to-back wins to keep them alive, keep them in the hunt, and keep them in the playoff contention. But do I see them like I see the Rams right now on fire? No. Do I see them even though they beat two solid teams? I guess the Eagles are obviously a great team. The Titans are so, but I just don't see that spark where I could see them like the Rams beating a good team. Because I don't want to see that playoff experience prior to help them. Obviously the coach has it, but no one else on that team has it. So they're young. So again, they're kind of like going to be like Detroit in terms of they're going to have to prove it their first year if they really get in it. And they haven't been dominant this year to really show that they're proving anything. But hey, it's NFL. Like I said earlier, if you can get hot at the right time, maybe they can make something shake. But right now, good win for them, but don't really see it amounting to anything really towards in a few weeks when we talk about playoffs. Right now, it's playoff time talk, baby. It's around the corner. We got to see you actually do something.
Jaevon, the Falcons beat the Colts 29-10.
Had the Colts money line on the hotline. My assumption was I gotta start looking at these damn reports because same thing happened with me. Same thing happened to me with the Steelers Bengals game. I thought Trubisky was gonna be playing.
You thought Joe Burrow was back?
I thought Desmond Ritter was the quarterback. You know who we got? Old Taylor Heineke. Gave them basically another spark. Bijan played really well in this game. Cordero Patterson, I believe, had a touchdown in this game. The Colts really couldn't get anything going. Minshew was under duress the entire time. The Falcons have a really good defense. I will say that. I think their D-line is solid, and they have a good back seven. But it really kind of just comes down to what can your quarterback do and how well is he going to play. And Heineke, played really well. They got to win at home. They're usually pretty good at home, but Desmond Ritter's kind of been the quarterback, so it's been pretty abysmal. Even saw reports about Arthur Smith kind of going into having a hot seat under him for the most part, but that's kind of what happens when your quarterback play isn't where it needs to be. I feel like their roster is actually really good if you kind of look at it. I've been joined the fan club a couple weeks ago. Justin Fields. I feel like this would be a perfect spot for him in Atlanta. Would love to see what he would look like here in Atlanta. If we continue to keep talking about the Falcons, I'm gonna keep talking about Justin Fields and how well that he is playing. But like I said, this Falcons team, I feel like they should give Bijan the ball a lot more, and I feel like fantasy owners believe that too. Just given he's probably the best player like on your team, just as a whole, that's kind of
doesn't make sense.
Most talented. I feel like he should get a little bit more touches. Kind of do what similar to what Christian McCaffrey is. I feel like that's kind of what the amount of touches that he should be getting. That's how talented that he is. I believe I picked him to be rookie of the year, start of the year, just because I thought the Falcons would be shit, but he would have really good numbers. He has pretty good numbers for the most part, but the Colts fire kind of went out, and Minshew is probably starting to turn into a frog a little bit. That's probably what it's starting to look like. Still think Shane Steichen should be in contention for Coach of the Year, just based off what he's been able to do with this roster of quarterback. Goes down earlier in the year, and to them still kind of have a shot at winning the division, let alone making the playoffs. You should definitely have a shot at winning Coach of the Year. But yeah, the Falcons, the Dirty Birds get a victory at home.
All right, Khalil, this is the moment you've been waiting for. As Gary, the Packers beat the Panthers 33-30.
Khalil, man, like, should I pump y'all up for this? Like 30 points
yeah,
Panthers?
He's rooting for your boys, so yeah, play nice.
I know he's trying to give me maybe some love, sweeten me up a little bit, huh? 2-13, drop 30. Tough. Need a dub. I see it. 7-8, you got a dub. Got perfect timing for a dub too, to be honest. What else could you ask for? Panthers going down week 16 we in. It's a good W to get. So hey, I'll take it. I'll take it positive for Khalil. Jordan Love, no picks, solid game, 17 for 28, 219 yards, got it done. This is I guess a negative thing. The whole headline is Packers survived, rallied by Panthers. They survived, my guy. They survived, and like you said, they got a dub, they got a win. And yeah, it's horrible when you're this close. I know you was probably irritated, biting your fingernails, like, sheesh, how are we? This should be a blowout, and it should be because Vaughn was on your team high early. I'm not gonna lie, I was not. I was not on their team high, but they've been proving me wrong in terms of the last couple. They had a lot of ups and downs this year. A lot of good positives from Jordan Love, a couple low negatives, but I would say in the last overall few weeks they've been looking more. Looking more bright. I would even say it's looking more bright in the quarterback spot than my guy, Mr. Pickett. So obviously, I'd be happy if I am, because you guys putting up 33. That's a good sign. Just giving up 30 is not a good thing to a Panther squad that obviously has 2 wins and doesn't have their whole. We already know we've been through the whole Panthers chaos. Yep, defense is horrible. So clearly, at least you're owning up to you guys not stepping up to the plate
He's
here.
a realistic Packers fan.
He a realistic. Okay, Khalil, you're saying a realistic Packers fan. So, and I know you're not happy that y'all finally lost the division, like you mentioned earlier, one time giving it to the Detroit Lions. So obviously you guys got some big dogs in your division in terms of that, not big dogs, but teams that are, Detroit is a team that's up and coming. As Vaughn just mentioned, Justin Fields still has a chance, I guess, to rise. And if they keep him and keep the picks this year and keep adding around him, because he got some gritty wins this year too. But hey, y'all got Minnesota at the end and y'all got Chicago. There's a chance y'all win both of these games, and what? I think that might be probably gonna need a lot of help. I'm gonna need a lot of help probably. Just in my I already know you probably gonna need some help to get in. But hey, if you finish off strong, what is that? That's gonna be going 3-4-0 towards the end of the year. My bad, I just had your schedule up here. I just lost it for 1 second. I think that would be 3 or 4 games in a row they win towards the end of the year. So
they would finish 9-8 if they win their last 2.
9-8, but that would give them 3 games in a row. Okay, yeah, and that's So the 3 games in a row, but realistically, what 3-3 last 6 games. So, but again, losing to the Giants, losing to Tampa Bay really hurt you guys. So, at the end of the day, it's looking good in terms of just making the playoffs. Maybe with some help, if you guys, the good thing is y'all got teams y'all can beat at the end of the year to get yourself in the playoffs. Needing some help, it's not obviously good, but hey, do you clear real quick, man? Real quick, if you sent you in the comments, climb back real quick. We will get a comment. Do you want to make the playoffs? Like my team, I still fan. I don't care about the damn playoffs. I want to win the bowls. So us winning the playoffs is obviously gives us a chance, but I know we don't have a Super Bowl caliber team to really win. So do I really care? No. Do you as a Packers fan who's been, great with Favre and Aaron Rodgers for the last 20, 30 years, do you actually want to make the playoffs? I don't know. You let us know too. We'll get back to you. You probably 10 seconds here. Hopefully he does. But if he doesn't, I just want to know, man. Do y'all think y'all make the play? Do you want to make the playoff as a fan? Because in my situation, Steelers fan, I don't want to make the playoffs realistically. Even though that's probably bad to say. But at the end of the day, I think we need some draft picks would help with my squad right now. So go ahead. We can move on to see if Khalil will respond to the second here.
Yeah, we'll circle back with Khalil, and we got the perfect next game to circle back with him for, as this game has been alluded to. But Jaevon, the Lions, they beat the Vikings 30-24 to clinch the NFC North for the first time in 30 years.
Kind of went back and forth with Nick Mullins a little bit. He threw for 400 yards, but had 4 picks. So the real Nick Mullins came out. Will you please stand up? The real Nick Mullins, please stand up. Justin Jefferson had a hell of a catch. It kind of sucks that he's not going to be in the Pro Bowl, just given how just amazing that he is. I think we all kind of universally recognize him as one of the best receivers in the league. But it kind of just came down to, are you going to be able to not turn the ball over? And the Vikings weren't able to do that. They lost T.J. Hawkinson for the year in this game, who apparently has a torn ACL. According to Adam Schefter, I believe that was today.
Sheesh.
The Lions kind of
big loss.
I think we're starting to see a little bit more of Jamison Williams get added into the rotation a little bit. He's starting to get featured a little bit more. I know a lot of people were kind of wondering where he's been. Sam Laporta, he didn't have a big game, but his presence alone is he's probably going to be one of the best tight ends in the league. The numbers do say that. This was kind of the Amon-Ra St. Brown show. I think he had over 100 yards and a touchdown. Jared Goff, like I said, indoors, Jared Goff is pretty unstoppable. He looks like Peyton Manning. So it's hard to bet against Jared Goff, even when even when he is indoors and on the road. Did have Lions -2 on the hotline, so shout out to the Lions. But the Lions won their first division title since 1993, which was pretty insane.
Shout out to the Lions, shout out to the hotline, and also shout out to Khalil, who, Gary, he says a playoff appearance would give Jordan Love some experience because, The difference between him and you, Gary, is he actually has his franchise quarterback, at least for the next couple of years. You're still a little unsure, 99%
I'm with you, so
out
yeah,
on
I don't know
Kenny
if I'm.
Pickett. Oh, I don't know if
certainly.
I'd say iffy at this point. If you're 99% out, that means we
That's
out
a
of
bad
here.
day to ask me, Shaun. You asked me off a loss. We got our ass whooped.
Yeah,
There's a
that's
week he
true.
didn't play, and I'm saying I'm a little confident in him. He didn't even play.
Oh, okay. All right. Gary. Well, the next game
Man,
that you
I'm
got
kidding.
is the Buccaneers beat the Jaguars 30-12. What's going on with the Jags?
Baker Mayfield.
Vaughn, you took the words out of my mouth, man. We have some telepathy right now. I was just about to say it for me, Vaughn. This way. Say it for me. Yeah, for me. So,
Baker Mayfield.
man, oh man, that boy deserves a contract. I think there's some. I seen some little. I think I seen some little news is that he might get a little 2-year deal, 50 million, something along those lines. Hey, man,
Running
go
themselves a
get that
little
bag,
money.
Bake.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike Evans had one of the best years. I'm glad I picked him up fantasy. You know, it didn't help me too much because my rest of my team sucked. But hey, he's been cooking. He's been showing that he's been good for a long time, guys. He's been good for, especially his first 3 years. He's really underrated. Wins the Super Bowl with Tom. Finally gets the credit where he's due. Obviously, Tom leaves, thinking the Bucks are going to go downhill. Boom, Baker Mayfield steps in, and after Tom Brady leaves, 8-7, and still doing this thing. I just try to pump it up there because he's, big shoes to fill after the GOAT comes in and wins the bowl for you, and he walks out and says, "Take over the team." Good thing for him. A lot of guys, a good solid amount of guys still on the Super Bowl team on this team as well. So, got some experience in him in terms of coaching staff to help him to know what the expectations are to win, him not being, and not to disrespect him any which way. But hey, don't look like he's distracted. And you can say what you say, but optics are everything in this league. And when you see you on left and right every damn commercial on State Farm, and you see you shitting the bed on the field, it just doesn't look like a good look, my guy. So him just doing it, handling business on the field now opens up things off the field, obviously, for him to get back into that if he wants to, because he's a guy who brings a lot of attention, as he should do. The way he plays, the way he talks, is a great entertainer in this league and a great athlete and a great football player. And he's showing that, because he was a magical guy in college. When he came to NFL, went to the Browns. Shit, I'm not gonna lie, bro. To beat us in the playoff game the first time and ever, made us, and they shipped him out of town, guys. He won a playoff game, took him out the dirt, and they shipped him out of town. And that just kind of sucks. Like, damn, bro. Like, I finally got y'all what y'all want to. Y'all want to ship me so bad after I just finally took you guys from the bottom. So, you know what? You got to give that guy's been through the ringer in terms of, media hating on him, things of that nature. So you got to give him credit to know the guys he has, giving the ball to those guys, because you can see a lot of players get really frustrated when you have guys and you just not, like, especially like Devontae Adams. You got a guy in Devontae Adams, Raiders Nation. You don't get the ball sometimes. Like, what are we doing? Let's give the best man the ball every single time. Or, like, not every single time, but let's give the best players the ball. If our team is not that good, they can save us. They can help us. They can, like my team, give George Pickens the ball. That's why my man's frustrated. He shouldn't do it the way he did it. But when talented players get frustrated in football, it's 10 to more. It's not really, guys. And the media kind of spins out, they're selfish and things. And more of the time, it's like, I'm great. Use me. I think I see, I've been watching Uncle Ocho show. Obviously, they've been doing great on their stuff. And, Ocho always says, like, as a great player, I don't want to hear that from my coaches. Oh, they schemed me out today. And I understand, like, from a fan perspective and seeing that, I wouldn't want to hear that too if I'm a player and I know my best player is so-called getting schemed out. He's the best player, one of the best players on our team. We should be using him in high octane, and we should be using him every which way. So he's been doing that with the guys he got with Mike Evans and Godwin and Rasheed White and things of nature. So Buccaneers, man, give them a chance. They can be a little team again, a little bit. I would say, I don't know how scary they can be in the playoff. They can be scary just in the fact that they're still unknown, and Baker Mayfield can pull some things like Houdini to get some W's, and their coaching staff again go back to having some experience. So, and real quick on the Jacksonville side, I know Trevor Lawrence played and got injured. I think again, right? I'm pretty sure I seen he got injured again. So, they're just kind of on the downfall, guys. I don't know what's wrong with them in terms of exactly. I don't know. They were clicking all cylinders offense. All of a sudden, they kind of been downhill. Maybe you guys can see what you got. Tell me what you guys think a little bit about them. I know it's just quick takes, but if you see something about Jacksonville that you see is not the same, let me know, because I just don't really see how all of a sudden, they were having a good little stint there, and all of a sudden now 8-7, lost a few games that they should have won. That's the thing. When great quarterbacks you have, they should have won, and losing some games that shouldn't have lost. So it's kind of a question mark because Trevor Lawrence, kind of up and down. He hasn't really got that much heat, maybe because he has been injured a little bit. But I'm wondering where the heat's at with him because last year come back, makes a great comeback versus the Chargers in the playoffs, named the Prince and everything left and right. And I think this year would be the next year. You see, if he would have been great this year, it would have been wrapped with his numbers and everything. They probably would have given him MVP if he would have showed up like Von was talking about earlier, narratives, who they want to give the guy to give that trophy to. It's one of the guys, Von, they want to give the trophy to. And, he's not showing up to go grab that. So, they got to throw some heat under him too to, hey, man, you're number one pick. You're the guy. Everyone's been saying that you've been great. And you see other guys around the league who are probably doing more with less. And we seen CJ, what he did at the beginning of the year on a team that we thought couldn't do nothing. So that when you're in that category of you can be transcendently great and you've shown it a little bit, yeah, the pressure should be a little bit on you more to step up.
Toddy, I saw a visual reaction from you to something you were looking at your phone. Do you have any breaking news to share, or are we just going to leave that off?
Oh, I got definitely have the Lions +5, or not Lions, the Grizzlies +5, and Jeremy Jackson Jr. was at the free throw line with 0.4 seconds left in the fourth quarter. He makes the first one, misses the second one. Game's going into overtime.
Yeah, and Khalil even said, I think someone hung up on 12, and then he said, never mind, it's going to OT.
Yeah.
Gary, honestly, you made a really great point because like a guy like Trevor Lawrence, he came into the league supposed to be a generational prospect, like on the Peyton Manning, John Elway level. And yeah, he's dealing, I think it's the ankle injury, right? But,
he hurt again.
The game wasn't even close. The game
you show up.
Yeah.
You're on that field. They always say you're on that field, and they're going to critique you as should. So,
yeah, for sure. And I mean, he didn't even want to take the golf cart back to the locker room when he first sustained the injury against the Ravens. Go ahead, Gary.
But one quick note, I'm just saying, me saying this is not obviously doubting the man. It's me saying we expect greatness out of you. We want to keep seeing greatness, consistent greatness. You feel me? I want to make sure that's being clear, that we're basically saying like we see greatness out. We've seen it before. I just mentioned the comeback last year in the playoffs. We've seen it before. We expect you to make the step this year. They put you in the same conversation as top 5 beginning of the year with Patrick Mahomes and things of that nature. And where's it at now? That's all we're saying, man. That we believe in it, but where is it at? Where is it at now?
Exactly. So, Jaevon, the next game that we want to get to is a very exciting one, but it's exciting for you and I as members of the Justin Fields fan club, my vice president, as the Bears beat the Cardinals 27-16.
So I was watching this game because I had them on the parlay. Justin Fields played phenomenal. The only thing I'd say that was bad from him from this game, he had a really bad pick, like at the goal line, or I wouldn't say it was it was in the red zone. He had a bad red zone pick. I was like, Justin, what the fuck are you doing? But I mean,
like, what did I do? Why am I in this club?
he only threw for 170 and a touchdown, but he did rush for 97 yards, and I feel like that's the threat of him. And what he's able to do. Has all the arm talent in the world. I just feel like his team is kind of I don't know if his coach is that good, but it's Chicago. That's why I'm saying get him fresh scenery. He'd be great in these other places where I feel like there's a little bit of infrastructure and there's a better team kind of built around him already, ready to win divisions. But I mean, the stats really don't say in this game like, oh, Justin Fields kind of wowed you, but if you actually watch the game, he was a game changer. Kind of going back to what Camden was saying about game changers and game managers, I feel like Justin Fields is definitely a game changer, and he proved that by getting the win over Arizona, even though they only got 3 wins.
Yeah, and as our guy Khalil says, at least as far as the Packers go, he says, we still own the Bears. So congrats to you, Khalil. Gary, the next game that we got is the Patriots beat the Broncos 26-23.
Yeah, so this game was I was watching this game, man. Oh man, I was falling asleep a little bit behind this one. I'm not gonna lie. I was watching with the family late night. I'm like, they got this on Sunday, Saturday night as a primetime game. I'm just happy it was a close game because the beginning it was kind of hard to watch, man. I don't know why. It was just hard to watch. There was no spectacular plays going on. It was just kind of just off the things that were calling in terms of the play calls just wasn't looking right. It just wasn't an all in all great game in the beginning. But hey, man, I don't know how the Patriots scored 20 in the third quarter. Right? They did it. They just you got to give credit to they capitalized off the turnovers. Obviously, 2 fumbles and 2 turnovers by the Broncos. In this game, like we talked about with the Niners earlier, if you turn the ball over, you are more likely to lose if you have the more turnovers. And yeah, the Broncos were on a little heater for a little bit. Now come back down to earth again, Mr. Russell Wilson. I thought he was going to win this game. I thought I was going to okay, come down, clutch, 2 wins, going to be a little 2-minute drill for the game winner. But hey, it just didn't pan out the way they wanted. And New England, man, just still, I don't know how they're just so, some of these teams, man, just so up and down every week. It's so hard to call. Like, what do you know what's going to happen with these teams that are just mid to the low bottom? One week they might have a great week. One week, depending on the matchup, they just might be looking good, might be looking bad. It just, you never know. And I guess you could be happy as a Patriots fan. I don't know why, because I guess you see some fight in your team. But at the end of the day, it's they're in that quarterback hunt, top number 1 pick around that corner to go get that. So I'd be kind of irritated if I won this game too, because that's how sports go. You kind of, if you're not number 1 in football, you kind of want to go get that. A guy's coming out of the draft, they can change the whole franchise. You've seen that time and time and time again. You go go get that guy, boom, everything changes. We've seen it time and time again. We can go down the list of top QBs who've changed their whole franchise's future because they got them. So I thought this was going to be a game. Mr. Russell Wilson shows that why he's a Hall of Famer, why he's they got him, and why he's has some clutch moments over his career. But the opportunity didn't show up the way he needed to, and they had a bad loss this week. Simple. They get this win. They have. I looked at the last 2 games. I'm forgetting right now. I'll bring it up real quick. Chargers and Raiders, 2 individual games that go either way now. But if you win this game, you go in and you lose. You go into this game, you win this game. Now you're sitting a little more. You're in the driver's seat to get into the playoffs, and from you give a quarterback like Russell Wilson, who's been to Super Bowl twice, won it as well, and you give Sean Payton, who obviously won a Super Bowl as well, into the mix, into the dance. Anything can happen on every given week. So obviously, if they can get to the dance, it'd be really good for them. But this is a tough loss for them to lose. Where they can really gain some momentum and go into the playoffs and have a leg up to, have more in their control. Now they're probably going to leaning on more people to lose and things of that nature. And when you don't have your destiny in your own hands, it's not really looking good like we talked about earlier with Khalil's team in Green Bay. So, yeah, shout out to, I guess, I don't even know who, Zappy doing his thing. Zappy, man, it's so funny too. You see Mac Jones sitting on the sideline, God damn, man, what are they gonna do with you, my boy?
Ooh, poor
See, I'm not gonna
McCorkle.
lie. I'm a little nervous that might be my team next year. Like, we're gonna bench our guy. He wasted another year. And he's sitting outside, and we like, do we just go all in now? It's like, but then I kind of feel what Khalil saying, maybe give my guy a little bit more experience. I don't know. I'm mixed emotion with my guy, Shaun. Don't ask me. But anyways, you got to give credit where credit's due. Again, to New England fighting hard. But hey, I don't know. I guess I don't know why they wanted it. They won this game, but they shouldn't have. You really should. You don't want to lose if you're a player on the team. But if you're a fan, you're like, sheesh, why are we winning this game? We need to lose this game to get a better pick. But hey, shit happens in the NFL. So I get them play spoiler. They're playing spoiler now. They said, Denver, you're going to sit right next to us too when we go on the playoffs.
And let's not forget, I mean, it's not too recent, but there were those couple of years where Tom Brady, Peyton Manning were duking it out in the AFC playoffs. And so these
two teams. That's crazy. That's funny, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Tom Brady used to play for the Patriots. Peyton Manning used to play for the Broncos.
They were going at it. That was like a foregone conclusion. That was AFC championship game, Denver, for a few years. Or they're going to meet along the way.
And now we are a long ways from that. And the team that we have come to expect to be in the AFC championship game every single season, known as the KC Invitational, apparently that may not be happening this year because, Jaevon, the shocker of the weekend, at least in my opinion, is the Raiders going to Kansas City and beating the Chiefs 20-14.
Absolutely. Raiders were plus 480 before kickoff. So if you bet $100, you were more than 480 smackaroos. There's like an underlining beef between Mahomes and Max Crosby apparently. They're always like talking shit to each other on the field, and it's been pretty consistent for the most part. Um, when Patrick
That's good
Mahomes is the
banter though.
leading when when Patrick Mahomes is the leading rusher for the Chiefs, it starts to alarm me a little bit. He
Yep.
led their team with 10 attempts and put him in the backfield, right? 10 attempts for 53 yards, threw for a touchdown, 230, threw the ball 44 times, which is insane. Um, just they had. I mean, pretty much the same thing with the Niner game. It was turnovers for the Chiefs, except their turnovers turned into points pretty quickly. He had the pick six, and then they had the obviously the fumble that was recovered, scooped and scored, fumble six, for a touchdown as well. So O'Connell, you guys want to know Aiden O'Connell's stats for the game? Nine for
AOC, let's hear it.
21 and 62 yards.
Woo! Sounds like a starting quarterback to me.
Uh, basically, the Raiders were running the shit out of the ball with Zamir White. Um,
Not
he
even
averaged six
not.
yards.
I'm sorry to
Yeah,
cut you off, but the craziest thing about that is the NFL's leading rusher from 2022 wasn't even the Raiders' leading rusher in this game.
yeah, he didn't. He didn't. Josh Jacobs did not suit up in this game. I think it was. I don't know. He had an apparent injury. I'm not too sure what it was, but
Who
the
knows?
key for this was the Raiders' defense, and Max Crosby was causing havoc back there. Josh Jack is the one who had the pick six. The guy that Antonio Pierce coached in high school, he was the guy that had the pick six. But I mean, the Raiders, man, the spread was 10 points. A lot of people were hammering the Chiefs to win outright, and the Chiefs to basically cover. Vegas, Vegas, man, and Vegas needed the Raiders to win, and they came to collect. Sunday morning, Christmas morning, very early. But
Hire that
um,
man. Hire
yeah,
that coach, man.
Antonio, you
They're fighting
probably
for him.
What?
the
What's
coach.
the coach's name, Gary?
I don't know. Vaughn just said it, but I forgot his name. But I watched the interview a few times now. I'm bad with names, Vaughn. Shaun, don't ask me names. I just messed your name up.
Antonio Pierce, basically, grew up a Raider fan, played in
Antonio
the league.
Pierce.
Yeah, played in the league. He went. He was on that
Proud of
Giants team that beat the undefeated Patriots. I already mentioned that a couple of
I
times
watched
in
his
the
interview.
pod. But I think when it kind of comes down to your guys play well for you and they're motivated, they're winning. I don't know if they need to necessarily hire Harbaugh. I feel like they could probably get some more help on the
You just want
defensive
to do
side of the
splash plays.
ball.
Stop doing splash shit. Paying guys
Yeah,
10 for 10 fucking years and
do what
fucking
works.
pay some guys who getting the job done.
I just think they need to just. I think they need a little bit more help on the defensive side of the ball, and obviously they need to upgrade a quarterback. Don't know what
Didn't
the
they do the
quarterback
same
market
thing
looks
when they
like.
hired Josh McDaniels? Vaughn? Didn't they just hire the interim coach before that did great too, and they fired him too?
Yeah, and they
Bastatia.
tried to. Yeah, they tried to. They still had Carr in house, and I think they ended up going to the playoffs. If I'm not mistaken, they did, and they
Yeah,
ended
they
up
threw us
losing the
in there,
first
took the
round in the
Chargers out. I
playoffs.
remember that year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I
Chargers
feel
threw
like
us.
McDaniel's tried to do something similar to that by getting Jimmy Garoppolo, but he's a Patriot guy, former Patriot guy. They're all buddies, and that didn't really work out
They all
as
failed
planned.
outside of
So
New England.
I feel like with Pierce now, they have a little bit of an identity. I feel like the players love him, and
Hard
they just
nose.
need a quarterback, like a real quarterback. Not sure if they go in the draft or if they move up in the draft and maybe try and get a guy, or do they go to free agency?
They got some people on this team, man. I'm not gonna lie, Raiders got some good guys. You can go through some names. They got some good guys on both sides of the ball. So, like you said, Vaughn, they really need to do. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm scared for the Chiefs. Finally, I'm finally admitting it right now. It's been all year I've been riding with the baby goat. So I still got them. I still got them. But I'm a little nervous now because man, Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey are not looking happy with these guys on the sidelines. Like, when are y'all gonna catch some balls? When are y'all gonna win some matchups? When are y'all gonna be on the same page as me? God damn it! Sheesh. So we can go win this
Yeah.
thing. Come on now.
It's not like it's 2 versus 2. It's 11 on 11. So the Chiefs might need the other 9 guys to start contributing a little bit more if they want to
And one
get back to the
thing,
KC
real quick.
Invitational.
They always say, "Oh, Tom Brady did with nothing, with something with nothing, whatever." You know what I'm saying? He always had Gronk, just like Patrick Mahomes has obviously Travis Kelsey. But they don't understand. they always played so great too because they had a lot of inside guys. They don't, a lot of small, like Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. Like they still had guys that people try to knock to this day, and who played great in great moments. And this team right here in KC, if those guys are playing great, don't have to be great all the time. If everyone just played great in great moments, kind of like last year, I'm not gonna lie, y'all know we don't like Juju that much, but Juju played great in great moments. Tony played great in great moments. You know what I'm saying? So you can play great in great moments with I know that he's been injured though, so I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, he hasn't been. Yeah, him and Rice too been out of the lineup, things of that nature. If you can play great in great moments with a great quarterback, he's gonna give you those moments to have. You gotta play great the whole game. Obviously, we love it, but if you stepped up in the moments when he needs you most, he's gonna give you that ball on the money and ready for the win, and all the glory can go to you. That's all all you gotta do is just get on the same page with one of the best quarterbacks ever and win some of your matchups. Catch the ball when the ball comes to you because you all got the most drops. That is a stat that cannot be under the rug. You got the most drops. So it reminds me of LeBron. He passes the open three. I know y'all hate when I bring up LeBron, but LeBron passes the open three in the corner, and goddamn, he's open, and it's a three-point shooter. Mr. Couple years ago in the bubble, but still they still won the championship. Mr. Danny Green, air ball from the wing 3-pointer. I like you, my guy, but your air ball in 3-point corner in game 1, I think it was in the finals. LeBron, you've seen those many times. LeBron, Cam Reddish, I think made one this year, but one time he missed the game before. Like drive, kick out, wide open. The same thing like this. This is a drive, kick out, wide open to you, my man. Catch the ball, and when you get the ball, and you can make this team can be looking totally different. The thing is, they're 9-6, but easily a couple games could go the other way, and everyone will be singing the praises of the Chiefs. So I still believe in them, but still got some big question marks, man.
All right, Gary, we'll close us out for Week 16 in the NFL because this is the one game we haven't talked about. The reason why we haven't talked about it is because our guy Kevin isn't here with us tonight, and so if Kevin was here, he would say that we saved the best for last. As the Eagles defeated the Giants 33-25 on Christmas.
Oh man, Eagles. I guess you could be happy, Kev. I know you're never really happy. This is what you should have done. You guys beat teams you're supposed to beat, so that's good this week. Even though you have lost a couple games this year, I think there was one game this year that they shouldn't have lost. The Jets. The Jets game, exactly. So that game was pretty much the only game this year that it's okay. It's not. I mean, it's not okay that you didn't win. So you just did what you're supposed to do. Jalen Hurts 301. They had the running game going with 170. Look at all the stats you're seeing. Everyone getting off. The ball is being shared. Still an interception by Jalen Hurts, which isn't good because he has had that he's had that problem a little bit this year throughout the year. So I don't know, man. I kind of want Kaz or Kev to come on here. Like, is it really back? Are you feeling confident off this? Like, I mean, you should be happy that you didn't lose. And you should be happy that I guess you handled business, even though it's still 25-33. It was still kind of a close game. Not really, I'm not gonna lie, but it was a little bit of a close game. The score kind of didn't feel like it was that close if you're actually watching it. I feel like, but at the end of the day, a dub's a dub, a win's a win. They needed to win after a couple rough weeks. It would have been better in a dominant win, Kev. It would have been really great in a dominant win. It would have been really great if they would have, put those guys on wax and shipped them out the building, and then been more a confidence booster going into the last few weeks of this regular season. But looking ahead real quick for the Eagles, who they got? They got Arizona, you got the Giants. Come out 3-12 and 5-10 teams you're playing. Next couple weeks should be demolition. Simple. It should be a demolition. It should be this whole year they haven't had a killer game. What team did they kill this year? I guess Tampa. The Rams, I guess. These are like by 14 to 20. I'm trying to look at who did they really demolish this year. No, they got
not the 49ers. I'll tell you that.
So they didn't beat Dallas either. So I'm looking like, man, Kev, it's looking like a lot of team. I'm going now. Obviously, we went through each of these weeks together. I'm just recapping. This is the end of the year. It's a time where everything can be shoved aside. If they can end the year strong, go on a hot streak, obviously winning these last 2 games can help you maybe still somehow if the Niners fumble up and lose a game somehow, some way to get the number 1 seed and maybe still come to the link. But it's looking like you might take the show on the road. And you know what? If y'all really built for it and y'all been waiting to prove that you guys were the real deal last year, like you guys been saying all year, and that you guys obviously have proven that you're not having a Super Bowl hangover and 11-4, you're gonna have to take the show on the road and beat some teams here. So you might as well look dominant going into the playoffs. Gotta look dominant going to the playoffs. I think that's a key thing as an Eagles fan. I want to see, if I was their fan, I would want to see obviously wins, but you want to see a certain type of brand of football. Back to Eagles football, I would say they would agree. I would hope they would agree that last few weeks have really been Eagles football in terms of dominating in a lot of aspects. So if they can get back to dominating in all the other aspects they were last year and they were at times this year, I don't want to keep hearing, when are we going to put a good thing? We haven't put a whole game together. I remember I was hearing that this year. Time's clicking. We need the whole game to come together very, very soon here, or it's going to be looking really bad, Kev. Just, I'm rocking with the Eagles. I'm just making sure you put in the lip, make sure time is ticking now. We need them to show up like last year. I called them out last year, and they showed up to the plate, and they made it happen. I'm calling them out this year because I believe they can make it happen, and they can go back to that team that we seen last year and make it to the bowl if they hit in all cylinders right here in the last 3 games. Hopefully, Kev watches this after the Kings win.
Yeah, right now things aren't looking good for the Kings right now. The Kings are down 15 in Portland right now. It ain't looking good. Twitter is going nuts. X is going nuts.
Oh, right. It's in Portland. They probably got slept a little bit.
Hey, Jaevon, real quickly before Gary gets out of here, where does the NFC run through?
Oh my Levi God. Stadium, sir. That's located in Santa Clara by way of the San Francisco 49ers.
Final thoughts, Gary?
Would you go this week, Shaun? We was tied for the first place. I didn't see that. We was tied for the best record, I fumbled up a couple weeks, started picking with my heart, was like Vaughn, didn't know who was really playing a quarterback to the day before. I shouldn't have been. That's why I was waiting for my pick that really late Saturday, because I was like, I got to see. I haven't had a chance to see who's playing this week. Last week, I literally picked
Gary
CJ
had
Stroud
parentheses around his picks because he was like, if this happens, then I pick this.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. He basically said, fuck that. He picked whoever I picked, so he didn't even go by the parentheses, technically. So whatever was posted on that graphic is what I rocked with. It's 12-4 this week, Shaun. 153-86, baby. What did you calculate, man? We tied on my head still?
I didn't calculate.
I think I calculated the shit, man. I think you down 2 games. I think I calculated earlier. So I was really interested last night. Oh, yeah, but I ain't lying. They messed up. Who'd you pick? I DM'd you though. Who would you pick? You didn't put the picks in the chat, so I really don't know.
I picked the Eagles. It was an error on the graphic. I didn't want to bring that up, but I picked the Eagles.
You picked the Eagles?
Read the text messages. Scroll back. Read the text messages. I picked the Eagles.
All right. I'm just making sure. It's all good. Yeah, all right. I just want to make sure I'm still in first place, baby.
Is it 2 games or is it 1 game? Because,
but I'm still sitting at first, baby. Still sitting on first.
I mean, your calculations could be wrong because, Toddy.
I know you didn't pick the Steelers. That's for sure.
All right. I didn't. I rolled
we both lost in the Colts. I'm pretty sure that. You didn't pick the Cardinals. You picked the Bears, I think.
All right, Gary. We'll circle back to this. We'll update.
I'm telling you, bro. And I know you picked the Niners. I know you picked the Niners.
I
picked the Ravens.
Well, Gary, it's cute that you wanted to mention this and that you wanted to go pick by pick between our 2 picks because Jaevon, Gary's been running this pick'em league all season long, only to choke at the end. And Shaun's about to go from last place.
You must have got really hot. I only had 2 bad weeks, really. I'm looking at it. Just 2 bad weeks.
I mean, going
last week was horrible.
11-5, going 11-5 every week. That's pretty good. I would say that's pretty good. Anyways,
week
Gary,
14, I went bad. 5-10. That was horrible.
We appreciate you as always, Gary. We're gonna get to some college football because you're admittedly not much of a college football fan. So Jaevon and I, we're gonna preview the semifinals of the College Football Playoff, and we will see you next time around.
All right, y'all, man. Catch y'all next time. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Stats Over Politics, and let's get it. Peace.
Peace. There you go. I was waiting for the signature. We appreciate you, Gary. All right. So as Jaevon and I close things out here on episode number 70 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Jaevon Toddy, Gary Singh, and Kevin Dent will be back again with us for next Monday's episode. I believe we're still coordinating that. Anyways, nevertheless, Jaevon, College Football Playoff Semifinals are coming up. They are going to be next Monday. Right now, that what I just alluded to is right now we're figuring out what time we're going to go live. We're going to go live next Monday on New Year's Day. But on New Year's Day is the semifinals of the College Football Playoff. Real quickly, Jaevon, before we get into the individual matchups, what do you think about the change going from having the semifinals on New Year's Eve versus on New Year's Day? Because that kind of threw me off a little bit when I was looking at the schedule earlier.
So it's on New Year's Day, no? Or is it on New Year's Eve?
No,
In
yeah, it is
January
on New
1st.
Year's. It is on New Year's Day
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So I don't know. It's weird. Kind of just getting ready for the 12-team playoff last year or next year.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they were supposed to be the 12-team playoff was supposed to start this year, but there was
Damn.
some nicks and crannies that didn't get some T's and I's didn't get dotted all the way by the committee as a whole. So they were just like, we're gonna do it until next year. But I mean, going off into the first game, Bama versus Michigan. This is kind of the books have kind of been going back and forth. Um, I think it's basically a pick 'em for this game.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers as far as Michigan goes, um, and points allowed, they're first in the country. Um, as far as just points scored, Michigan's 14th, Alabama's 19th. Pretty much their stats are the same, just going total yards, pass yards, rush yards. They're pretty similar going off to that. But I think Alabama has a slight edge in this game, just because of Jalen Milroe's ability to be as explosive as he is, and the explosive plays is going to be very very key for this Alabama team because Michigan does not give it. They don't give up explosive plays at all. They're one of the top defenses in the country, obviously, and Alabama kind of thrives off of that. Going back to the Georgia game and the SEC championship game, we saw a couple of explosive plays, but not very many from Jalen Milroe. But I think what the key is for Alabama is to get Milroe definitely involved in the run game and um, be able to get their playmakers the ball on the outside with Jermaine Burton, and I feel like he's going to be a very key piece in this game. And on the other side, with old Coach Harbaugh, Big Ten champs, they're going to be very run reliant, and I think in this game, I don't know if you're going to be able to run the ball on Alabama, even though um, Michigan was able to run the ball pretty effectively on Ohio State, and Ohio State is one of the top rush defenses in the country. So if Michigan's going to be able to run the football as well as they have been pretty much all season, then it's going to be tough for Alabama to let alone be able to keep their offense on the field because Michigan's going to be draining the clock the majority of the game. Um, I think if JJ McCarthy, if you get him a little bit more involved in the pass game, kind of set up the play action a little bit, then he's more than capable of being a passer. He just hasn't really had to pass the ball as much because you got guys like um, Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum back there running over everybody pretty much. So I think it's going to be the tale of two teams because I think both teams play kind of they're polar opposites as far as styles of play go. So this is going to be an all-time great matchup. I kind of wish this was the night game and the Texas game was first, but nevertheless, can't be mad at the matchup. But I'm very excited. I will have my pick, you know,
Mm.
'cause
Tease.
these are going to be hotline picks. These both of these games will definitely be on the hotline. So stay tuned on who I will be kind of picking for that game. But these games, I will
Friday's
definitely
episode.
be locked in. So um, can't wait for it.
Well, let's hear some analysis on the Texas versus Washington game as well, because I will be making my picks. And just for everyone to know, I really rely on Toddy when it comes to college football because these last couple of years I haven't been as locked into college football as I once was. I consider myself much more of a fan than an expert when it comes to college football nowadays. Like I'm gonna rock with my Buckeyes, my Cardinal, and my Hornets. And then after that, I'm going to casually watch. And so just for the record, I will be making my picks from a fan perspective. That's very important. But, Toddy, you are our expert. So let's hear a little bit more about Texas and Washington.
So kind of polar opposite in styles of play. these dudes in Texas and Washington, they put up points. I believe when the line first came out, I was on Twitter just ranting about college football playoff and the four best teams. I thought the committee kind of ended up getting it right because Florida State obviously didn't end up getting in, being that they were undefeated, they won their conference, but they weren't one of the four best teams in my opinion, and I feel like that's kind of what the committee was going over. If they would have played if they were to play in one of these games, they would be dogs by at least two touchdowns. And I don't think the TV networks, the committee, doesn't want to see a repeat of, a couple of years ago when Washington was in it, when they played against Alabama, when
Shout out
Cincinnati
Jake
was in it,
Browning.
when they played against Alabama, and ultimately the national championship when TCU got in. But TCU was pretty much deserving to get in. They got the national championship. But they got blown out. It was like the worst blowout in the history. So I'm just going to go off quarterbacks. Michael Penix has been a dog the entire season, Heisman finalist. A lot of people were kind of considering. I think he came in second, if I'm not mistaken, on just finalist period. I believe Quinn Ewers, he would have definitely been a finalist if he wouldn't have gotten hurt. I feel like his numbers didn't really add up to par of what like the Jaden Daniels, like the Michael Penixes, the Bo Nix of the world, those guys, because Quinn Ewers missed a good chunk of the season, and if it weren't due to the quarterback depth that Texas already had and having Malik Murphy being able to kind of pull wins out of his ass, Texas might not even be playing in this game if it weren't for Malik Murphy, who did end up transferring to Duke, not too like a few days ago, to be honest. But just going back to this game, the point total is 63.5. So Vegas thinks there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. Um, on Texas, you have guys like Xavier Worthy, who's going to be one of the top receivers to come out of this year's draft. He is draft eligible, and you have a guy in A.D. Mitchell, who I believe in next year's draft will definitely be one of the top receivers to come out because I don't believe he's not NFL like he's not draft eligible, but I think he is the better of the two in Worthy and in A.D. Mitchell. I think Mitchell is probably the better of the two, and Quinn Ewers is going to be slinging the pill around. Texas's defense is their run defense is top five in the nation, so I think that's really doesn't matter too much to Washington because they don't run the ball that much anyway. Um, but it's gonna rely. This is gonna rely heavily on Washington. Michael Penix, on the other hand, you have a guy in Roma Dunze who is the top three receivers as far as coming to me. I think it's Malik Neighbors. I think it's Marvin Harrison Jr. I tweeted on a few days ago that Malik Neighbors is better than Marvin Harrison Jr. People might come from my head for that, but that's neither here nor there. And the
Totally
third
agree.
receiver is Roma Dunze. I think he's that freaking good. Like the Chiefs could use Roma Dunze right now. Like on how bad the how abysmal the pass offense has looked for the Chiefs, they could use a guy like Roma Dunze. I think and I forget I'm kind of blanking on the other receiver's name, but the guys on the outside, it's basically going to be the difference in this game. And right now, Texas is favored by 4 points. They're minus 180 on the money line. I think Texas is basically going to make you know Washington throw the ball because Washington's not going to be able to run on Texas, and so it's just you're going to see probably Penix throw for 30 times, 40 times this game. So it's going to be
Mhm.
fairly high scoring. It's going to be it probably might be the more exciting game if that makes sense because there's going to be a
Mhm.
lot of passing involved, air yards, things of that nature. So I get why this could be the night game, but I feel like and uh, Bama and Michigan, you got Harbaugh and Saban, one you know best coaches in college football, period. Probably should be the night game, but that's neither here nor there. But um, this is going to be a game where I don't think it's going to come down to the last possession. I think the second half is going to be a big deal because I see a Texas kind of jumping out to a lead early, and um, Washington probably responds. But it won't be until later in the game. Like we saw Washington kind of come out and punch Oregon in the mouth in the Pac-12 championship game, the last Pac-12 championship ever. Um, and
R.I.P.
then Oregon, and then Oregon kind of came back roaring a little bit, but Washington, ended up kind of cementing their place as the Pac-12 title holders for the final year. But I don't. I feel like if Texas gets out to a lead, it's going to be hard for Washington to kind of like crawl out of that hole, if that makes sense. Because I feel like Texas can kind of score at will. We saw that in their Big 12 championship game, which they are now leaving and going to the SEC now. Just putting up, I think it was 45 or 49 points, put up a bunch of big numbers. They kind of had to create some style points to get into the college football playoff, but they're here now, and this game is going to be pretty close, but stay tuned for Friday. Where you'll have my official pick. But these games I couldn't ask for any better college football matchups.
Yeah, and that was a hell of a tease by you right there. And I think it's kind of appropriate that the college football playoff, this is the last year of the Final Four, because it has now been going on for 10 years since we left the BCS format. I know, right? Time has flown by. It truly feels like yesterday that I was at my grandpa's house watching Ohio State win the first college football playoff. And it was special for me just because my grandpa went to Ohio State, and that's why I became an Ohio State fan. And so, OHIO, baby. And so time has just flown by, but I think it's very appropriate. And I think back to the first college football playoff in 2014. You had number 1 Alabama. You had number 4, the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I don't think a number 4 has ever beaten a number 1 since that happened. Fact check me, Jaevon. You might be able to fact check me just off the dome, but I'm pretty
That's the last
sure.
one I can remember. Yeah.
Yeah, so one and only. The first playoff was the only time that a 4 has beaten a 1, and I'm here to tell you it's about to happen again. Because Alabama, they aren't a normal number 4 seed. Like Jaevon said, it is a pick'em. And, I really like Jalen Milroe. He is just talented. And, I don't really understand why it took Nick Saban as long as it did to finally choose him as the starting quarterback, because earlier this season they were flip-flopping back around between quarterbacks, but they eventually landed on Jalen. And and again, this is why I prefaced all of my picks by saying I am making this pick as a fan. And as an Ohio State fan, there's no way in hell am I going to pick that team up north. I'm not even going to name them. That's the last that you heard me name them. Alabama is about to knock off the number 1 seed. They're going to advance to the college football playoff championship.
Come from Ohio State fan, guys.
It's coming from an Ohio State fan. But, Jaevon, like you said, though, it's a pick'em, so it truly is kind of a toss-up. Then that brings me to the other game. You get Texas, led by Quinn Ewers, who started his career at The Ohio State University. He really just used the Buckeyes for
NIL. On to better things.
Yeah. What happened is basically Ohio had approved for student athletes to get NIL money before Texas did it. And so even though he is from Texas, wanted to go to Texas all along, he took a pit stop in Ohio, got himself a really nice car, a couple of good NIL sponsorships, and props to you, Quinn Ewers. And so there's that.
Y'all would be playing in the college football playoff right now.
Thank you for the reminder, because what is Kyle McCord? He's worse than mid. That's what he is. Hey,
that's Syracuse now.
I was about to say he is a Syracuse quarterback right now. And so that takes me to Washington. You have a coach in Kalen DeBoer who has come in and he turned around the program last year. I think they were like 11-2 last year. And then now they are whatever they are. What is it? Like 12-0, 13-0. And they have dominated. And the crazy thing about this season, Jaevon, and like I get that I'm talking about this from a casual fan perspective, but the Pac-12 has been looked down upon for years and years and years. And of course, the last year that it even exists was the best year of the Pac-12 in a very long time. In Washington, they ran that conference. And so I'm very high on Washington, and I love the connection between Kalen DeBoer and Michael Penix Jr. because DeBoer used to be a coordinator. He was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at Indiana, and that's where he met Michael Penix Jr. During Michael Penix's time at Indiana, he tore his ACL in his right knee twice. And then he still had a coach believe in him on a Power 5 level, and Kalen DeBoer, and said, come transfer to Washington. I want you to be my starting quarterback. And then he finished as a Heisman finalist. And so I just love the connection between them two. And to me, it's kind of a pick 'em as well. Like you said, the playmakers for Texas could really make a difference in this game. But I'm going to go with Washington. I'm going to say that Washington survives and is undefeated going into the national championship game. And
plus 150.
plus 150. Ooh, I like that. I like that number. And for our audio only listeners, please forgive me as I ponder who I'm going to pick in the final, because I know that we're previewing the semifinal, but before the whole thing starts, I figure I might as well just give my pick for the champion as well. So everyone bear with me real quickly while I just take about 5 seconds to think about my decision.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay. Well, so Jaevon's reaction was because I'm sipping out of a Washington mug. And the reason why I have this UW mug, it's a little scratched up. It's okay. The reason why I have this UW mug is because my friend Matthew and I, we took a trip up to Seattle a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
The WNBA had to go see Sue Bird before she retired. But before our trip came to a close, right before we got on a plane back to Sacramento, we decided to go to UW and check out a football game. It was their season opener, Jaevon. And they lost to Montana. UW lost to Montana, who's in the FCS. Like, they were that bad just a couple years ago. Kalen DeBoer has come in. He's turned this program around. He turned a guy in Michael Penix, who probably wasn't even going to be an NFL draft pick. Now he has made him a guaranteed NFL draft pick, potentially a first-round pick, with how much people love quarterbacks and need quarterbacks. And so, you know what? All bias aside, no bias aside, I'm picking the Huskies. Go UW, go Washington. And, I'm a Stanford fan, but, just ever since I got this mug, and I got this mug as a souvenir of my trip. Yeah, it's the UW mug. And so anyways, I'm going with the Huskies. I don't really have much to base my picks off of other than bias. And so I'm going with the Huskies. Khalil is going with Bama versus Texas in the final, and Khalil's picking Bama to win it all. So, Jaevon, we will wait until Friday's episode of Stats Over Politics, episode number 71, Friday at 7:30 p.m. for everyone to tune in here on YouTube, on Instagram Live, and on X. So then everyone can hear Jaevon's. I got Jalen Milroe in my head now. I apologize. But everyone can hear
Sneaky Heisman, very early Heisman candidate for next year.
I like that. That's honestly a really good prediction. And so everyone can wait until Friday for Jaevon's educated picks that are based on much more than what I just made my picks off of. My picks was just personal bias, honestly, at the end of the day. It is what it is. But this has been Stats Over Politics. Usually I side with Stats Over Politics, but Jaevon, I'm full on politicking to end this episode. So it is what it is. I'm politicking. I'm podding. That's going to do it for another week, another episode of Stats Over Politics. For our guys, Kevin Denton, Gary Singh, and my guy, Jaevon Toddy, right next to me, I'm Shaun Holko. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. It really helps us a lot. And if you enjoy the show, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics, and on X at Stats or Politics. See all the great content that Kevin's putting out there every week. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're enjoying the show, give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you guys have been tuned in to the 70th episode, if I can even talk anymore, the 70th episode of Stats Over Politics. We appreciate you all. For Kevin Dent, Gary Singh, Jaevon Toddy, I'm Shaun Holko. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you on Friday for another episode of Stats Over Politics. Peace.